Here we go.
G'day fans, welcome back to another exciting Wednesday night for Rip It Off the Card. It is absolutely effing freezing and cold outside. It is chilly as cold enough to freeze the pricks off a barbed wire fence. I tell you what, Mr. Aaron, what is the deal with the weather, old son? How is your store coping in these temperatures?
I don't know. I tell you what, Mr. Freeze doesn't need to stay in the refrigerator at the moment. He can just walk around freely.
It's the cooler. Yeah, not the refrigerator, the cooler. You're taking me to the cooler. Absolutely unbelievable. And he's me wearing a Hawaiian shirt. It's like, well, there you go. It's my psychological way of trying to warm myself up, warm up the cockles, as it were, if you know what I mean.
We've already been on 2 hours this week, and neither of us has changed, and we're back again, and we've got to go for another 2 hours.
Oh, my God, it's absolutely unbelievable. And the funny thing is, now, I'm glad people are actually watching us at the moment, because Kenobi, the part 3 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, came out a couple of hours ago. I fully expected everybody to just nick off and watch that. And hopefully they'll finish that, because it goes to like 50 minutes or whatever, and then come back and join us. So if people do nick off, now don't let's leave right now thinking, oh, was it tonight? Was it? I don't want to see all the numbers just plummet or everybody just buggers off to that.
I'm happy people are watching us, because I think it's elimination night on MasterChef as well. So you can always
I'm missing out.
watch that after the show.
Jeez Louise. Oh, my goodness gracious. We've getting stood up by MasterChef. What's the deal with that? And, of course, we did our review of the Obi-Wan Kenobi on Monday night. 2 hours of gas bagging about Star Wars. I tell you what, it really wore me out. But you know what? I'm still up for it, because tonight we're talking about more bloody Star Wars. How good is this?
Well, it's been a bit of a Star Wars week. Kenobi's dropped. We had Celebration over the weekend. Trailers for every other series that's coming out for the next 12 months. It was all over the internet, and it's all buzzing at the moment.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, anyway, Cruz has already said, yeah, that's tonight. Bye. Yeah, just kidding. Now, good old DJ. No, we are not discussing it tonight. You'll have to wait till next Monday, which I know is going to seem like an eternity before we get around to it. But no, last week we were lucky. It came out on Friday. We did the show on Monday, but now our review show's on Monday and Kenobi's out tonight. So no, we're not discussing it. So no spoilers. But I'll tell you one thing that is an awesome spoiler is that for tonight, Greg King's Cheaper Things has an absolute ripper moment, because Ronnie, our favorite Ronnie, has been watching our show, specifically the Greg King's Cheaper Things segment about him. And you've got to see what he has to say about himself. It's an absolute ripper, but you're going to have to wait a little bit before we get into that. What do you reckon there, Mr. Aaron?
Yeah, the way things unfold, it surprises even me.
Yeah, totally agree. 3 episodes a week. It seems like, we've got our own TV show. Well, we don't do the Tuesday nights. That's actually the other guys who do Toys on Trial. But, yes, Monday and Wednesdays for us too. And it's just, it's a bit of an overload. But, that we like to give people more than they can handle. So,
and we promised everyone, like last Monday was a special 2 episodes for 2 hours. It's only an hour every Monday from now on.
Yeah, that's true. I like it from the Vial, Romanian accent. Good evening, I'm the Vial. It's supposed to be MZ Vial. It's like, why Romanian? What's the deal with that?
Transylvania is in Romania.
Violator. Yeah, exactly right. Oh, we need to move on. We've got a lot to cover off, and there's some awesome stuff coming on. Yes, did Ronnie comment on the show? He did. And wait till you see what he had to say about the show and how he described Aaron and myself. It's an absolute ripper. You're going to have to stick around for that.
How he described Greg King.
Oh, yes, the soul Greg King. Well, there we go. Even the Vial gets a mention. So, as we said, you're going to have to sit tight for that. DJ's already said trial needs to be a lot longer. They barely scratched the surface. Well, that's up to the lads. They run that show. We just push the buttons at our end, but we can certainly pass on the feedback too. So there you go. So if their show isn't long enough, guarantee you our show's too long. But there you go. We've got to move on. So let's get into it. Otherwise, we'll never get to where we want to go. So let's rock and roll. All right, Mr. Aaron, where are we kicking things off, old son?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know what order you've put the stuff, but we've got a lot of stuff from all over the place. We've got He-Man stuff, we've got horror stuff, we've got Predator stuff. Let's start with the Predator. I'm guessing that.
No, I like it. You just announced everything that we're talking about. So, spoiler alert, I'll tell you what. The Vial has said Sci-Fi Zone expanding beyond undescribable belief. I like the word undescribable. I can't even describe how much we're expanding. Absolutely fantastic. Now, we're kicking it all off with a bit of the Masters of the Universe. So, what do we got, old son?
Well, they've been releasing over, I guess, the past 6 months a a series of figures called the Origin figures, and basically what they're doing, they're re-releasing all the original figures with comic books on the original card backs to make basically make it look like an 80s toy shop when you go and get them. And I haven't really highlighted them because, you know, they're the same figures that have already come out 30 years ago. This one is an interesting one because it's Wondar, and Wondar was one of those sort of mystery figures that sort of turned up and no one knew where it came from. And it's called Wondar because a lot of people had originally presumed it was a Wonder Bread mail away figure that was only available if you sent away through Wonder Bread. And the reason it's a bit controversial is a lot of people know that He-Man, kind of around about the time that Conan came out, took a lot of ideas that might have been for a Conan toy line and changed them into He-Man. And one of the things that the Conan license holders did was say, hey, you can't have He-Man with brown hair because he looks too much like Conan. So they kind of think the original Wondars might have been an early run of He-Man that couldn't be sold, so they were given away through the back door as a promotion. It's really interesting to see 40 years later, he's a legit figure being released to the public. Conan toys never really took off. He-Man's still going strong.
Yeah, when I looked at it as Wondar, I actually looked at it, maybe it was meant to have a German pronunciation like Wunder, you know, as in like he's wonderful or something. But
yeah.
Anyway, so there you go.
So there you go. So you can see there, it's basically He-Man with a bit of a different hair paint job and some different accessories. That was how they used to do the things back in the day. And if you do watch Toys on Trial, the first episode, I think, goes into some of the He-Man things like that.
Yeah, there's a fantastic comment from Rusky Babes. I can't put it on screen. It's a bit risque, but yes, I did pick up on it when you said it. And then he's picked up on it as well. But I'm going to move on because I'm going to get myself into trouble.
Yes, he's rusty, but he's still got a mind like a steel trap. We've got a new Predator figure coming out. This is the Boar Predator. He is quite detailed and quite amazing. You look at that and you think that's probably a 12-inch figure, but it's not. It's one of the 8-inch figures that's in the NECA range. He comes with two different heads, so you can have him with his original head sculpt, or you can have him with his helmet on. He comes with a whole bunch of different hands and accessories. So if you there you go. There's the picture with all the different stuff it comes with. So it comes with hands, different accessories, alternate head sculpt, and then a lot of his different weapons from the movie as well. So this is one of the new NECA Predators. I don't know how easy it'll be to get here because there's sort of lack of distribution for NECA stuff at the moment. But if you're into Predator, this is a really nice one. What did you think of this one, Dags?
Yeah, look good. Hang on, give me a second. Rusky Babes has said Disco Predator. I was thinking the same thing. He's busting a move on the dance floor there. Look, it's all good, but just what the world needs, another bloody Predator, like action figure or sculpture. And I was like, oh yeah, seen there. But I mean, I see heaps of them in your store, and I go, yeah, just don't really need another one. But whatever floats your boat, I guess.
I have to tell you a funny story, Dags, about feedback for the show where one of our customers came in and goes, I can't wait to see Rip It Off the Card, where you're enthusiastic about all these collectibles and Dags just says how they're crap and he wouldn't buy them.
Oh, yeah. It's just, we'll talk about it later on regarding the Star Wars stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that got mentioned on the weekend for celebration for Star Wars fans and collectors. And there are some things, if they produce something for the first time and it's a first off, you go, well, that's cool. I understand that. But when there's been previous iterations going back maybe 20-something years, you can look at it and go, oh, do we need another one? But that's the nature of how the business works. And I get that. But from my perspective, it's like, I've already seen a shitload of Predators in your store, big ones, little ones, fancy ones, whatever, and they produce another one. And I just wasn't excited when I saw this. But I tell you what, if you do want to get excited, well, I'll tell you what, this is one they won't be chucking out the door that quickly. Of course, it's a Dirty Chucky.
Well, this is interesting because they only released the one picture of it. It's called Charred Chucky. And it's kind of genius and horrible at the same time, because if you wanted to make your own version of this, you could probably take an existing one and light it up for 30 seconds and bingo, you've got a screen accurate Charred Chucky. But yes, this is the next variant of Chucky that's being brought out, and that really is something that would give someone nightmares if you sat it on your bench and it like watched you sleep at night.
Yeah, it's kind of thing you can't imagine that being in the store, like your store, for example, and then some kid comes in with their parents. Oh, mummy, I want one of those. And we go, what? I remember even as a kid, I went into a store once and I saw some horror things or whatever. I said, oh, they look awesome. Can I have one of those? And of course, your parents who you have no idea what these things are, just look at them and go, Why the hell would you want that? It looks freaking awful. And when you sit and think about it afterwards, you go, yeah, I can understand. It's not the most appealing thing. It's like getting figures from The Thing, the 82 John Carpenter movie. They are not at all attractive, when you got the thing bursting out of a chest and it's, the Blair thing and whatever. And you go, yeah, that's just not physically appealing, but, whatever. So if they don't understand, they don't understand. It's as simple as that. What do you reckon?
Well, the 12-inch Kenner Alien was acknowledged as the first horror figure ever, and it just didn't sell because parents wouldn't buy it for their kids.
Yeah, I love that. What happened to the old Chucky? Escaped the bonfire. Yeah, very, very cool. Yes, exactly right. For the parent who hates their child. Yes, very good stuff. Was it? Yeah. Right, I'm sorry. I was just reading a comment from Rusky, but it was just lost me completely. All right, we're going to move on. Believe it or not, okay, if action figures and that stuff aren't your cup of tea, then clearly you need to buy some of these collectibles because they are worth a fortune. Or not.
Useless Pop of the Week!
All right, what do we got tonight, Mr. Aaron?
Well, I picked this one because it's a particularly useless one for me and other, well, should I say it, Doctor Who fans. It's a Doctor Who piece of merchandise that you would have to be an absolute full-on completist to ever touch. And what it is, it's a pop of a My Little Pony character, and the My Little Pony character was based on Doctor Who. And the My Little Pony character is called Doctor Hooves, one of Dag's sort of puns there. And then what has happened, My Little Pony is so popular, Funko has gone, maybe we can make pops of My Little Pony. And so you have this like 6 degrees of separation away from the original Doctor Who to Doctor Hooves to a pop of Doctor Hooves of a My Little Pony character. So Funko, I've got to say, a genius. Like, they've got the pop market, they've got the My Little Pony market, and then they've scraped up some of the completest Doctor Who market as well. But if you look at that, how is that a Doctor Who item? How is that even a My Little Pony item? It's a weird pony pop with a tie on.
Well, first off, they got the spelling wrong. It should be Docky, not Doctor. I think we got that part figured out. I didn't pick up on what this was until you just mentioned it. And that is just, yeah, you're right, Christy. Yeah, kill with fire, exactly right. Yeah, and you're right. There are some people who buy one, like the president of the Doctor Who fan club, the Doctor Who fan club. Sorry, I got to correct myself on that one. Yeah, that's a mishmash of crazy ideas, isn't it? And yeah, I tend to agree. They've just like cashed in big time in that one. Now I need to just just veer away for a second. DJ said, we say that about like kids have toys and shit. Aaron's store isn't a kid's store. We fully aware that it's an adult collectible store. The problem was, funnily enough, when I had to try and explain to someone one time where I worked, I actually said I work in an adult store that sold collectibles, and they actually said back to me, oh, it's an adult toy store. And I go, no, don't say that. Pop culture store. So yes, we're well and truly aware it's a collectible store, so no problem there. Moneybag Sullivan has said enough Docky Who. Well, you got to tell Funko that, because clearly they're the ones producing this rubbish. How's that? So it's a pony that's for Docky Who. You know what it needs? It needs the old Tom Baker hat at the top here or something. What do you reckon?
Don't give them ideas for variant. Like, I can tell you why it's a cash-in, because all the other ones in the series are popular characters from the actual cartoon show. This one is just a Doctor Who sort of joke one, and they've included that in the lineup. So the only reason they could have possibly put that in the lineup is because they wanted to scoop up the extra sales from Doctor Who fans.
Yeah, that's just wrong in a lot of. And I agree with William. Yeah, kicking the head. So yes, that's just complete rubbish. Even Dicko has said, how many times can we say Docky Who in the one segment? In this instance, a lot of times. But anyway, so My Little Pony, who's crossed over with Docky Who, or if dare I say it, if you got a pony and you got a doctor and you put them anyway. Oh dear, yes, you are right. Talking about a long drove for a tie-in pop, and obviously they're getting desperate now, and they're thinking of whatever they can. And of course, there's so many Dockies in the Docky Who range. Like, next week I'll have a William Hartnell version and the Patrick Troughton version. Oh my god! Yeah. Yes, wait for the Jodie Whittaker version. That'll be interesting. So very, very cool. All right. Any final words before we move on about pops and stuff?
No, let's get rid of the pops and the docs.
Love it. Absolutely fantastic. All right, here we go. This is the one you won't be waiting for, kids. So, for those who have not been following what's been going on over the past few weeks, it's almost like a couple of months now. Aaron bought some stuff from a guy called Ronnie over in overseas somewhere. He's missing a couple of items that he's been sending money again and again and again for, and he still hasn't received it. It was the Hobbit home, and what was the other thing? It was the
Little Shop of Horror Audrey.
Yeah, that's right, the Audrey 2, right? And of course, Aaron hasn't received them yet. So there's been this back and forwards email conversation between the two of them. And we found out that the dude's name that we were dealing with, that Aaron, well, the Soul Greg King is dealing with, is called Ronnie, right? Now, last week, as it turned out, I think Aaron sent a link to Ronnie for this show in this very segment, because if you go on YouTube, everything is chapter marked. So if you just want to go directly to the Greg King's Cheaper Things section, you can do that. And clearly they've done that, right? And they've watched this show and they wrote back to Aaron. So this is some really funny stuff. For people who've been watching this show for a long time, you'll get a kick out of this. So before we get into the text, because it's all text-based, anything you want to say, Mr. Aaron?
Just Ronnie loved the show too so much that he sent me 2 emails really quick, and I didn't get a chance to reply to them. We have split it up, so because I replied to one and then got the other one and replied to the other. But apart from that, this is all genuine conversation, how it played out this week.
All right, so it's all text-based. Aaron's going to read it out on the screen. I agree with you. Bring it on. I'll tell you what, even when I read this today, I was laughing my head off, and people who are regular viewers are going to find this absolutely astounding. All right, so it's important to remember the picture that we have of Ronnie, he saw, and you'll see it as soon as it comes on screen. So let's go for it.
Hi, Aaron. What is this that you make me watch with link you send? This show is very amateur. It's strange. Is it supposed to be ironic comedy? All items during Greg King's time are fine and good items, yet you laugh at them. I do not think you have been taking our communication seriously. You do this over and over, and no one watch it. I still do not know who the soul Greg King is. Sorry, I still don't know who is this soul Greg King. Is he a celebrity? Why you have drawing of me with massive ears? I am not really looking like that. From Ronnie.
So this proves that he actually did watch what was going on. And of course, as we said, Aaron is still missing items that he's paid for multiple times and he hasn't received them yet, right? So we actually ended up with an extra audience member in regards to Ronnie. So, okay, so Aaron wrote back because the items that Aaron has been receiving are wrong. Okay, what they've been described as has been accurate to he's been receiving. All right. So, yes. Ronnie ripping off numerous nerds investigating. All right, but Aaron wrote back. Don't worry about these kids.
Hi, Ronnie. I'm shocked. We are a very serious show with a loyal following, many who have loved to hear from you each week. I sent you the link because I thought you may enjoy seeing the show and how your company has contributed to it. There is an aspect of comedy to our show because you do not send the product as pictured, and sometimes you send something totally different. We use the pictures with big ears for you because this is a Ferengi from Star Trek and they are always scheming and plotting to make money. It's a good representation of the way your company behaves. You could call Greg King a local celebrity. Yes, all the best, Aaron.
Oh, absolutely. It is ironic comedy. Isn't it absolutely fantastic? So, and of course, Ronnie never twigged that when he was sending this message, he was going to get put back on this show. So he hasn't really thought it through, has he? So absolutely love it. All right. So, but it doesn't end there. All right. So Ronnie wrote back.
So he'd obviously watched a couple of things by now, and it gets better. Hi, Aaron. What is this? I do not get it at all. I think you are a very mean person. You laugh at all the products we send you. What is the vial? Is he another person who rates and grades toys? The vial file seems to be the product of depraved minds. I'm not sure about you. I'm not sure if we can be friends. It is probably best you do not communicate with me any further. Please do not do PayPal chargebacks. That is, and be very happy with the items that you have. From Ronnie.
So, before we go any further, we are depraved minds. How good is that? Oh, God, I love it. I was like, oh, my God, I'm a depraved mind. And Aaron is too. So there you go. Oh, dude. Did you laugh when you see that?
I did. It's comedy gold. I couldn't believe what I was getting. It's like, he is the best one we've ever communicated with. He's fantastic.
Unbelievable. Oh, made me laugh. I saw that today and I just kicked myself big time. All right, but it hasn't finished yet. Aaron had to write back to good old Ronnie.
Hi, Ronnie. Rip It Off the Card is a weekly show on collectibles. I don't think we are mean to people, though I appreciate your feedback. The products you send are very poor, and that is why people laugh at them. The vial cannot be explained. He just is. Thank you for your compliment about the show being the product of depraved mind. High praise indeed. I am sure we can be friends, and I would love to continue to communicate and buy products from your company. I will not do PayPal payback as long as I get the items I ordered. All the best, Aaron.
How absolutely fantastic is that? And we still got another response to come. So there you go. Depraved minds. Yep, absolutely. That is like an absolute compliment and a half. So, and of course, when he asked who the vial was, and of course, we all know the vial just is the vial. And that's simple. That's all you need to know. Oh, goodness gracious me. All right, so I think we've got two more correspondences coming through. So Aaron had to write back to good old Ronnie, and this is what he said.
Dear Aaron, thank you for your explanations. I am sure that that maybe my English is not great, and I do not understand what I watch. You say our product is bad. You give them poor reviews. You say, now that's poor value. And then you put them in your shop and sell them for even more than we do and say, Greg King, you've done it again. How is it poor value for us to sell it, but you are happy then when you sell it for more? Very happy to hear you explain this. All the best, Ronnie.
You know what? The answer to that question is we need to send Ronnie a picture of a woofer with a dollar bill out of its mouth because Aaron is a capitalist dog.
I do love how in the back of his mind with all of this, he's like, hang on, people are making money off of my products.
They'll put their prices up now. So, because we've made for those who don't know, when Aaron does get stuff from these places, he does put them in the store. And some people actually have bought them, which is absolutely amazing. And then, of course, Aaron buys more things like this. But how is it absolutely fantastic? Hey, so I got it around the wrong way. That was Ronnie's response. Now we've got what Aaron wrote back to him. But yes, it is an absolute depraved minds taking their items, putting them in the store and selling them. All right, so this is the last bit. This is actually Aaron writing back to Ronnie.
Hi, Ronnie. That's a good point. The difference is this. When you sell, you show an inaccurate picture, and when it comes, it is a disappointment. And when I resell the item in my shop for someone, the item is in the shop for someone to look at, and they know exactly what they are getting. Also, some of the products sold from this segment are ironic sales. Viewers have seen the show and want the product because it is bad, not because it is good. And I still have not received my Hobbit Home and Little Shop of Horrors plant. All the best, Aaron.
Yeah, and that's actually true because Thomas, who's watching this show, actually made a point of coming in to get the Maltese Dragon, which should both have been the Maltese Falcon, which ended up being the Maltese Budgie. So how good is that? And for that reason, we've had to add in a little bit of a classic line there at the top. Absolutely magnificent. What do you reckon, eh?
So we've got 3 quotes from different companies. This is probably ground zero for Vermin. That was the SJ Trading. And then we got now you're on a list of troublemakers by the Lane Design Company. And now, of course, we've got like the product of depraved minds from Ronnie. And I actually think Ronnie's wins so far.
That is absolutely fantastic. And everybody's got their own images as to what Ronnie is or what he looks like. Yes, and you are right, Thomas. The player got played, and exactly right. And you do wonder, now that Ronnie has the link to the show and whether he'll watch this episode to see what we're saying about him. And you are right. If Aaron and I are depraved minds, what are all you audience people watching us for? Is like, clearly you could be out watching Kenobi for something a little bit more mature. Yes, how good was that, eh? So...
Who's
what do you reckon, Mr. Aaron?
The depravity or the depraved that watch it?
That's exactly right. Oh, my goodness gracious me. How funny was that? The Soul Greg King. Yes, he's done it again.
I will probably order more from this company just to keep this conversation going.
Oh, yes, absolutely fantastic. All right, very, very cool. So that's the latest with Greg King's Cheaper Things. There's probably bound to be more of this next week, so you can make sure you tune in and keep an eye on that. And of course, sorry, and whoa, start again.
We didn't receive anything this week, and I didn't order anything else this week.
That's all right. No dramas at all. And remember, as we've said before, when Aaron and all the Greek King have actually ordered something and it's turned up and it's been pretty good, it's actually been disappointing for the show. So there you go. Very, very good. William, are you a deviant? I don't know, but I'll tell you what you can be, though. You can be vile-ated, because it's now time for the vile file, Mr. Aaron.
Yes, we are not men. We are DEVO. It's yes, we got more correspondence for the Vile than I did from Ronnie, I think, this week. The Vile file gets the most feedback because so many people want to be his Vile acolyte and contribute to the show. We only take the really top and most vilest letters. Actually, that's not true. Some of the really vile ones we can't actually show. But we got a few feedback letters and a few things this week, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, good stuff.
Lord Vile, I'm sorry to disturb you from your vile plotting and scheming. I loved your segment last week with the bad advertising, and it reminded me of an ad Bloomingdale's in America got in trouble for. Very Bill Cosby. Your friend Ronnie, I mean Alan Cole. So this is a real ad. I checked it up. It was in their Christmas catalogue. Spike your best friend's eggnog when they're not looking.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? What's that supposed to be advertising, dude?
It's clothing. It's like a department store, and this was a clothing ad. They actually got in a lot of trouble for it and had to take it down because obviously most people don't endorse spiking your friend's drinks with anything, especially at Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree with you. Anyway, but that wasn't the last of the our correspondence, was it?
No, this was another one. Dear Master Vile, I love Rip It Off the Card, and your segment is my favourite. I found this tattoo for the next episode. You look at Vile Ink. What do you think? Well, this episode isn't looking at Vile Ink, and this is from Gemma, who says she's a twisted sister. I think this is a really cool one because it's a Vile tattoo, but it also goes into collectibles because it's a troll doll as well.
I just realised something. Someone could register a business name by the thing Vile Ink.
Yes.
You have to form a quorum of committee members for that one. But yes, talking about violating things. Love it. Cool. But yes, you are right. The tattoo does look quite a groovy.
Lord Vile, being in fandom a long time, I remember the days of hand-drawn art in paper fanzines. Being an artist yourself, I was wondering if you have a collection of art from this era. The worse, the better. From Victor. I don't know. I know a couple of Victors. I don't know if that's one of my friends or just someone who's seen the show, but the Vile does have a collection of bad fan art that he'd like to share with us this week, Dags.
Yeah, so I think the idea is we're going to be showing you some pictures that people have drawn. I don't know if they're from fanzines or what. And take a guess, kids, if you can work out who these people happen to be. So what do you reckon there, Mr. Aaron?
Well, we're starting off with 3. These are sort of easy ones to guess. I think everyone should be able to work them out. So if you want to... We've got
as it turned out, I got the middle one wrong. I mean, on the left, you can take a good stab and say that was, we'll wait for the responses to come through. There's a bit of a delay for the responses to turn up here. Yep, you're right. Nick Cage is on the left, which is cool. But the middle one, I actually thought was someone completely different. I got that one completely wrong. And on the right, you can probably take a bit of a guess and all the rest of it. Yeah. But so where do you reckon these things appeared in fanzines and things? Do you... Mr. Aaron?
I think they've appeared in different, probably, let's say the fanzines from the era, there's not a lot of them online to see, but there is a lot of fan sites where people submit their pictures and they're printed up online. So they're from fan websites. They're not deliberately meant to be bad. These are genuine attempts at fan art, you know.
Yep. Thomas said Sigourney Weaver. Even I know that that's incorrect, but I could see why you would think that one. Mad Max on the right. Well, yeah, you're on the right track because there's obviously the actor. Data. No, I wouldn't think so either. So we'll just scooch on. Yes, I didn't realize that was who's the doctor, the docky dude. I actually thought it was Michael J. Fox. So I got that one completely asked about.
David Tennant, and it is a really hard one to see there. Once you see it, you kind of can get it. But Yeah, that's some pretty poor artwork right there, isn't it? I did used to love at conventions where they would have an art gallery and there'd be different age groups and different skills. It kind of reminded me of looking at some of that actually.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, some of these could have been done from young people as well, but good on them for trying. Speaking of which, who do you reckon these people are, kids?
Well, these are three amazing ones. Like I think each time the skill level of trying to pick who they are goes up a little bit, though. So if you didn't have good luck on the first round, I don't know how you go on this round. I've got to say, probably would have got one of these if I didn't
Which
know
one?
who they were.
Just which one? The middle, or the left, or the right?
I'd have got the one on the right.
Yeah, I didn't. I was lost at all three of them. I go, yeah, I'm not on the right track. Christy said he is Johnny on the right. So yeah, I think you're on the right one there. Yeah, great, Jack Nicholson. Very good. Everybody seems to have picked that. So that's the one that I didn't pick. So clearly I'm in the wrong business trying to work these things out.
Yeah.
What about the other two? Who do you reckon they might be? So
I would be very surprised if anyone gets the left one. And when you see the picture, they really have tried to get it close to the picture as well.
Well, that one on the left one, the dude's been chasing parked cars, so no wonder it's hard to pick. So let's have a look and see who it is. See who, if anybody, even though people are typing messages right now, if they're even remotely close.
So we have the Batman, or at the time it was the Twilight Vampire, Robert Pattinson. And a few people got the Here's Johnny one. I could get that one. The Daniel Craig, that was a bit of a hard one to get, wasn't it?
I like it. The Vile said Sid Vicious, and I thought I could see why you would pick that, but no, not even close. So middle looks like that was the bottom one there, the Daniel Craig one. Yeah, don't think so. Liam Neeson. So yes, and Bond. Angie's sort of on top of what's going on here. So
yeah,
yes, very very cool. How good is that? Oh, well done. But yes, the Twilight dude. I've forgotten his freaking name. Oh, that's right, Pattinson. Yeah, not a hope in hell. This is an easy one.
This is an easy one, but probably because they've all been grouped together. I've got to say, if they were individual, you would probably have trouble with some of them. I think everyone will be able to work out who these are, though.
Yeah. So you sent me two pictures, one this way and one the reversed. Any reason for that?
Because the Vile used his Photoshop skills to put it as close as he could to the picture down the bottom. So it is, of course, the Friends, and they are quite well. I tell you what, Jennifer Aniston got the short straw in this group of drawings, didn't she?
But, yes.
So the Vile has cleaned them up and moved them around to get it as close to the picture down the bottom as he could.
The Jennifer Aniston one looks like she's going through the old burnt Chucky doll sort of phase. Even though it's incredibly basic, I actually thought the Matthew Perry one on the extreme right-hand side actually looked all right. I didn't think that was too bad considering how simple it is. But
I thought the Matthew Perry one looked a bit like a young Dicko, actually.
Courtney Cox, I think, got the rough end of the stick as well. Not as bad as Jennifer. But yeah, Jennifer, she's been chasing parked cars or parked tanks even. It doesn't look a bit, yes, exactly right. Rachel looks a bit wrong. Yes. Maybe they weren't as big of fans as we thought. Whereas Phoebe on the left, she looks great. So there you go.
Yeah. The one where none of them looked anything like they were meant to.
Yeah, exactly right. So very, very cool. Anyway, we move on. Hang on.
Okay. So this is another one. Now, here's a grouping. It's the entire ensemble cast of a franchise. See if anyone can get this. There is one that I think gives it away, but it's pretty hard if you didn't have that one in there. Did you get this one, Dags?
I didn't really pay much attention to it, but you are right. If you see the one that gives it away, the rest sort of fall into line. And you're right, Christy, it is actually Star Trek. And most of it's because of the Spock picture at the bottom right-hand corner. But if you took that out, I reckon you'd be struggling with some of the others. Yeah.
Well, I think Uhura has the Starfleet com badge on as well, which might give it away. But again, when you see the pictures that they're original Trek, well, no, Mr. Sullivan, no.
No, you've taken the wrong gamble. You've seen, there's a classic Spock there, so therefore they're all classic. But when you look at the pictures, you go, that doesn't look like William Shatner or DeForest Kelly and all those guys, because it's not.
And when you see the pictures they're taken from, you can see they have actually tried to take them from the movie pictures, and they have failed.
They have indeed. Yes, a couple of them are a bit on the dodgy side. So, yeah, a couple of people said original Trek, and they were off target. So, how about that? So, the old Spock threw you all off. So, Very cool. The badge on the top right gave it. Good stuff.
Well,
Tuvok is in there. No, I don't think so, Sunshine. So
you can see that the picture they used to draw Spock is on the top, and it is Zachary Quinto, but it just came out looking more like Leonard Nimoy, which is genius, really.
Yeah, I don't, or completely unintentional, one of the two. But yes, it's kind of groovy. But yeah, when you look at them, you go, good old Kirk up here. He's looking a bit on the dodgy side, and this dude is. Simon Pegg's got the big nose, and it's like it's not overly flattering, I got to say. So maybe Spock is about the only one who came out okay in the grand scheme of things.
Now, we didn't have to tell anyone who these pictures are because it's pretty obvious. I have to say I did search the internet just for Gavin to find like a Yoda there. But we've got almost a Picasso layer where you can see the front of her face and the side at the same time, like the weeping woman kind of thing. And then a very grim Chewbacca, isn't it?
Yeah, that Yoda. I mean, what's the deal with that? I mean, he's been chasing too many AT-AT walkers.
Well, I think he's been at the pie drawer, actually. He looks a bit like yogurt crossed with Yoda after he's had a binge at the pie drawer or something.
He's been slamming about a bit too much of the old root leaf. He's, I tell you what, he's actually got the Bib Fortuna sort of look about him, hasn't he, really, when you sit and think about it? Yeah, Weeping Princess. I absolutely love it from the vial. So, yeah, Winston Yoda. We will fight him in the swamps.
And of course, the vial has he had a Kylo Ren hidden over his face there. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. So what are you trying to tell me about all these vile pictures there, Mr. Aaron?
Well, he has a huge file of fan art. It's nice to collect. It's excellent to see. Good to collate and put up in an exhibition, but it's all been well and truly violated, mate.
It has indeed. So there you go. Very, very good. Yoda's been on the wacky weed. The wacky tobacco. How good was that? Yes, a cross-eyed Kylo. Yes, indeedy, doody, didy. All right, it's time for a bit of audience interaction. We're actually ahead of schedule, which is good because our celebration talk is a bit of a long one. And yes, and as the old man once said, I never met a long one I didn't like. And that was me talking about long weekends, of course, for those who've got dirty minds. Let's get into it. Ready for some exciting stuff.
Ooh, baby, do you know what that's worth?
All right, what are we talking about tonight, Mr. Aaron?
Well, when you've got a long one, everyone loves a good play. And tonight we're having board games. So we're going to be looking at, I guess, new and old board games on eBay. So some of them you might be able to guess, and some of them you're going to be way off, that's for sure.
All right, Ange in the past used to put in like 55 cents and really, really cheap bids, and now he's already ramped it up without even seeing the first item. So good stuff. All right, here we go. Oh, check this out.
So this is an amazing board game, one of my favorites. I've actually got it sitting behind me, but it's a load-bearing one, so I can't pull it out and show it. One of my favorite games from the 60s. A lot of board games, they are just the generic snakes and ladders, and they whack a franchise on. The Outer Limits one is actually quite amazing. It has lots of different cards. It's a totally different kind of game where you assemble monsters and put them together and go around a board. Great artwork. This one's in great condition. Impossible to find in Australia. You just don't see it. How much would you think this would go for, Dags?
Yeah, it's an issue because 1964, and as we know, kids' board games tend to be a bit on the dodgy side. It does say used, so you have to assume it's all. It is complete with all the pieces as shown, so that's kind of gribby. You do wonder, and we have actually discussed it in the board games segment of this show like months ago. So there could be some dollars associated with this. You wouldn't at the time; it would have been cheap shit, but you never know. It's nearly 50 years old, so it's pretty gribby. All right. So we start off with Ange's 532, unless he wants to change it, he can. Moneybag Sullivan has said 150. Violating the Outer Limits is definitely the way to go. It's $600. It's a board game, guys. Thomas has said 700. Adzi, good to see Adzi with us at 125. Rusky Babe 600 as well. If you guys end up winning it for 600, you'll have to split it between the two of you. William has said 800. I'll tell you what, some big dollars here, eh? Christy was $1.09. Okay, Christy. Rebecca's joined us. How good is that for her first time on the show at $92? What do you reckon, kids? The Outer Limits board game. Definitely one for the classic fans out there. Your youngies would not give a rat's bum about this. Mr. Phil, he's decided to slip right in and giving us $350. Which is absolutely fantastic. You should have been here, Mr. Phil, earlier. We were talking about Docky-U, but we've since moved on.
Good
All
to
right,
see
so
you.
what do you reckon it went for, kids? It went for a whopping $420. I revealed it too early. I pressed the button at the wrong time, but there you go. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that's probably about what they go for. If you got it, cheaper than about 200, you're doing really well. If you're paying more than 500, you're probably paying too much. So that's about in the right range for that board game to go. Is unusual to get one in Australia, so it is a good price because it'd usually cost you that from overseas, and then you'd be whacked with $100 postage to get it into the country.
Well, guess what? Mr. Phil just slipped his way into this particular show, and he's already got it. He's actually got to cough up an extra $80, and it's all yours. So well done, Mr. Phil. You're the
Well
owner
done.
of the Outer Limits board game. Well done, sir. Oh, hang on. Andrew reckons he's close. 532. I don't think so. Nah. I'm going to give it to Mr. Phil because he's a cool dude, and Andrew, you just invent numbers. So there you go.
Yes. So Phil is closer. Phil gets the Outer Limits board game. Let's see how he does on the next one.
Very quickly, did they ever do a Twilight Zone board game? I cannot remember.
Do you know, I can't remember one. So I don't know if they did.
There you go. So every time you open the box, it goes do. All right, next one up. Oh, here we go.
So World of Warcraft is obviously an amazingly popular video game, and it's had different iterations over the years. I remember playing the original one when it first came out, and they're still going strong online. Does it translate well to a board game, though? I don't know, because I've never played this, but you can get it. And here's the board game and some expansions. If anyone does know gaming, they might have a good idea about this one, but I had no idea on this.
I just realised Ange, who's bidding in the show, is a member of some board game society and whatever, and he's a very, very big, passionate fan of board games. If, Ange, you want to do a plug for yourself, feel free to do so. I'll put it up on the screen. If out of everybody, I think Ange would be pretty much au fait with what's going on regarding the board game business. But yeah, I would have thought a computer game converted into a board game is like, it's a bit of an unusual sort of step. So no, it doesn't, I think is the answer to that question, and I can understand that. So it could be one of those oddity collectibles that comes out, nobody wants it, but collectors of World of Warcraft say, well, I have to have it because it's part of the collection, rather than be something they want to play with. Now, I don't know where this finished and where this ended. So, Ange, if you started with 45, I don't know if that's what you were kicking it off with. If not, change your bid. Same with Colin at 250. Because a couple of people bid in late for the last one. So Colin's at 250. Adzi said 25. Violating the World of Warcraft is the Vile at 125. Thomas at 975. Oh, geez, that's optimistic. $100 for William. Christy said 12. Rebecca said 257. It's worth noting with Christy's bids, she did actually win an item last time around just by chucking a random number in and actually winning. Good stuff. And Moneybag Sullivan has said 450. Oh, yeah. So did I say video game, computer game? Is it a movie?
I said video game.
Yes, I did remember that. It was a film that didn't really sort of do that well. And Mr. Phil has decided to slip in a nice $250 there. You do wonder if there's a value for this. I wouldn't have really thought so, but there were 44 bids. So clearly there may have been a fair bit of interest in this. Anne just said she may be right. Christy could be correct at 12. So we'll see what happens. All right. So how much you reckon away for World of Warcraft board game, blah, 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 Burning Crusade, Shadows of War expansions, yada, 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 all bullshit, all being used. 44 bids. How much it went for? It went for a whopping $660. What's the deal, Mr. Aaron?
Well, again, like I said, I didn't know that these were that collectible. I'm sure I've seen them around. World of Warcraft is a massive franchise that spans different platforms over 20, 30 years. So it's obviously got a bit of a following. I would think the people who like to play games online might not be the same people who want to get together and play a board game as well, but you never know. Obviously, there's enough people after these 44 bids, $660. Who got that one?
I don't know. Moneybags is at 450. Thomas is way too high. So I think Moneybags may actually have this. And he can cop up 450. He's a loose change at the back of the couch as far as he's concerned. So, but he's still a couple of $100 short. So I think Moneybags is all yours. So how about that? I mean, yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? I mean, yeah.
It surprised me.
Probably as good as a board game is. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. I've got to say, I was surprised because I don't know where the value is because maybe when they were brand new, they were worth a fair bit of money. But yeah, there's probably a lot of World of Warcraft players, the computer game, not the video game, the computer game, who are not even remotely interested in the board game version. But Mr. Ange, yeah, you can tell us if you've ever played this before. He's actually said, wow, so clearly this is higher than he thought it would be. All right, moving right along. Oh, check it out, Young Talent Time. Whoa.
Well, there we go. It's the Young Talent Time board game, I mean, this has got to have a lot of people looking for it because you've got young Kylie, young Danny, young Tina Arena, and a whole lot of other people that no one remembers. But Young Talent Time was one of those shows that ran for about 20 years in my childhood. It was a bit of an Australian institution till it got axed. It used to be up against Hey Hey It's Saturday, I think, just for a bit of trivia. I'm sure Rusty will be able to give us some useless trivia on it, but we're not worried about the trivia. We're worried about what it's worth. If you found this in an op shop for $5, would it be a bargain or would you still be paying too much?
As it is, if no one remembers it, but the 1986 version when they were talking about Halley's Comet, I was actually in the audience for that and almost made it on the show as an Imperial Stormtrooper back then. But there's a story as to why I had to get replaced by another guy. But there you go. But I was in the audience for it. And it was very interesting to see Young Talent Time actually being filmed for the show. All right. So, okay, what is Young Talent Time board game? So, Ange has gone the $700. Remember, Ange is a board game specialist. So I thought I'd just mention that there. Colin has gone on the complete opposite with 10. Greg King, $2. You could almost buy like a couple of the used cast members of the show for that. Moneybag Sullivan has said 80. Rebecca has said 948. Oh, it's a lot of money for the. I think you can almost buy the entire cast for that. 350.
I'm pretty sure Jamie Redfern used to sell himself for more than $2, Dags.
You're a bad dude. You're a depraved mind, as Ronnie once said. Violating the Young Talent Team is the vile at 300. Oh, that just sounds too good to be true. Williams at 25. Where are we? Adzi has said we'll pay $50. There you go. Christie's put in a decent one, 150. This is the last one. No Danny or Tina in this one. Absolutely fantastic. Phil has slipped in 300. Where are we? Adzi said $50 to take it away. Very good. And Andrew said yes, he is a specialist because you play board games. Certainly more than the rest of us. So there you go, kids. All right, so what do you reckon? The Young Talent Time board game used, and you can interpret that any way you like as to how somebody used it, as seen on TV. The Young Talent Time game, how much do you reckon it went for based on the other two games that we've sold already? It went for a whopping 6 bids. Keep that in mind. There was some interest in this. It went for a whopping $16.52, and it comes with a free Debbie Burn.
Young Talent Time made it big because I saw them perform live, not at the G, not at the Sydney Myer Music Bowl, but on the main stage at the Forest Hill Chase.
How good is that? I think Colin's got this one. You got to cough up an extra $6, Mr. Colin, and the Young Talent Team are all yours, son. So there you go. And I'll tell you who didn't get it, Mr. Expert himself, Ange at 700. Oh dear, love it. Oh yeah, and it comes with no dice. Exactly right. You just got to. You don't say spin the bottle; it's spin the wheel. Bad days. Yes, I can't. I'm not surprised there's no value in this. This would just be for Young Talent Time devotees, and they'd be going, "Oh my god!" In fact, when they sold this originally in the stores, it probably even cost more than what they've sold it for. What do you reckon they do?
Well, none of them are. It would be old talent time now because none of them are young anymore.
Yeah, exactly right. You have to Photoshop on about an extra 30 years on top of their ages. All right, let's move away from that. Oh, here we go. Pocahontas. Yay, team.
Well, this is an interesting one. I've never seen this board game before. It's Disney. It's one of those Disney movies that isn't as well known or as beloved as some of them. It was still a popular movie at the time. A lot of people said the plot from Avatar was ripped off from this as well. So maybe some Avatar fans have been on it too. But there you go. Disney's always a bit popular. It's a rare game. But is it a garage sale or is it a Aaron's Collectibles price?
I like it. Avatar fans are going to buy it because this ripped off the story. I think that's a pretty thin link. Jeez. Yes, I can't imagine this game would sit well on the bookshelf full of all these Navis. Yes, exactly right. And you are right. It's dead talent time. All right. So Pocahontas, Moneybag Sullivan has said 20. Thomas has said 45. Ange, the board game specialist. I'm going to say that now, dude. I said 20. Christie's gone the 1 cent option. And you know what? I probably wouldn't be far behind you on that one. Christie, Colin said 30. William has said 125. Oh, Greg King, even I have to say $2 in the board games bin at the garage sale. Rebecca, 538. Holy guacamole. Violating Pocahontas is one shoot as the vile at 35. And Phil, who keeps slipping in some good bids, has gone for the $15. Absolutely love it. Adzi has gone 314. I don't know what that's meant to be, but All very good stuff. It's the board game. It's the A team. Lots of fun for the whole family. And it has been used. Once again, make of that what you will. All right. How much do you reckon it went for the Pocahontas board game? It's all it says on the thing. Nothing more than that. It went for a whopping $20. Chucking them away.
But you know
And
what?
Ange, the board game specialist, told you, dude. You
People,
got it. As has Moneybags, Sullivan.
two people have to split it in half.
Yeah, well, they're going to split Pocahontas. The game. Oh, Jesus.
Gets worse and worse, doesn't it, Dags?
It does. Anyway,
But now
what do you want to say,
everyone
dude?
knows what to expect because this is the product of depraved minds.
Couldn't help myself. Well done, guys. So there you go. How good is that? So yes, very good. $20. That's all it's worth, regardless of how rare or how ripped off from Avatar or Avatar ripped off from this it is. All right, lucky last one. Here we go. Oh, go the Battlestar. Yay, team.
So this was another game I didn't know existed, even though I really loved Battlestar Galactica. But oh dear, Battlestar Galactica board game plus 3 expansion boxes. I mean, I guess there would have been a market for this. I don't even remember seeing these around when they came out. Do you remember these, Dags?
No. When I saw this picture and you sent it through, I go, oh, who knew that there was a Battlestar Galactica board game with extra bits? Unbelievable. Yeah. In fact, they're probably more rare and more popular than the original Battlestar one from the 70s. But no, I didn't know that at all. So, and I personally think that Battlestar Galactica was one of the greatest sci-fi shows ever produced. And I still stand by that argument. All right. So it's a discussion for another day. Very good. All right. So Colin has said Colin has said 150. Christy has gone to $10. Let's actually add some dollars for a change. Adzi has said 30. Where's Lorne Green? I can tell you where he isn't, and that is not in this show. Thomas said 175. Violating all those Cylons is the violet 100 cubits. Are very, very good. William has said 75. Rebecca has said 293. Phil has decided to slip in 100. Moneybag Sullivan, who's got $350. So there you go. It has been used, so be aware of that. Plus 3 expansions. Oh, who knew that? Very, very cool. All right, so we're going to just chug this one nicely along so we can move on with our show. And it went for, how much do you reckon it went for the Battlestar Galactica? Oh, Ange has chucked in $2,000. Ange, mate, where you suddenly got this money from? So there you go. All right, how much do you reckon it went for, kids? It went for a whopping. Oh, hang on, Ange, did you look this one up? He's like $200 off the price. What's the deal with that, Mr. Ange? A bit suspicious, son?
No, I think Ange was an expert. And he didn't want to tip everyone off by putting 2,000 earlier. So he waited and slipped it in right at the end.
So there you go. And he said it's a good game. And it's like Andrew said, like as you said, he's the board game specialist. But $2,000.
I know.
1,800. Bloody hell.
I'm telling you something. That was probably in a bargain bin somewhere at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah, it probably would have been because I can't imagine what it would be like as a game. So anybody who's been out there and played the old Battlestar game, be sure to let us know how it all went. But far out. So yes, you're right, Ange again. I mean, maybe you're right, but I mean, usually when people put in gigantic bids, other people look at that and go, "Mate, that's completely out of the ballpark." Because nobody, we had a few really wild ones earlier. It's not like when Christy says 1 cent, everybody goes, "Oh, let's follow Christy and put in 2 cents." But yes, there you go. No, it's out of print and people want it. Yes, clearly, if they're prepared to pay $1,800. Oh my God! Imagine someone turning up to Ange's board game collector group and going, "Look what I got." They'll be going, "Geez, Louise, son." Good stuff. Has high ratings. Well done. All right. So guess what? We're almost on schedule. We're
do you know what you always have to do on the Galactica board game?
What?
Roll a 6.
I don't get it. Oh, yeah, number 6. Yeah. I had to think. I knew there was a joke there. I just couldn't think of what it was. So very good stuff. Who knows? Maybe one day we will do an episode of this show based on Battlestar Galactica collectibles from the original and the new series as well. So, yes, very good. Good. Oh, all right. Enough of all the board game stuff. Now it's time to talk about something particularly cool and groovy. It's our feature presentation from an event where they're still probably packing the chairs up, over in America. What are we talking about tonight, Mr. Aaron?
They are still hosing the nerds out of the hall, aren't they, as we speak? But we're talking about Star Wars Celebration, and the reason this came about was my news section that I do every week was originally going to be about Star Wars Celebration and all the stuff that's been announced there. And after I got to about 20 or 30 items, I was like, Well, this is actually the main feature because we've got so much material to talk about. Rather than just talk about the toys, we're going to talk about the whole weekend. And this is about Star Wars Celebration and conventions in general.
Now, Moneybag Sullivan has said it's all packed up. What he's forgotten to mention is that there are still nerds hanging out in the foyer of the hotel and the venue because they don't want to leave yet, right? They're going, oh my God, I've just got to, they're still dressed in their Star Wars outfits thinking, I've just got to, one more hour, I just got to like savor it for a little bit more because I wasn't able to get as many autographs or as many costumed appearances as I liked. So,
in the street outside, there's all these cosplayers in clone costumes begging for money to get home because they spent it on all the collectibles there.
Tell you what, that is not far from the truth. I went to a convention in 1985 and I spent all my allowance for 5 days worth in the space of like 20, 30 minutes. Yes, indeed.
Can I ask you, Dags, what is the best convention you've ever had? Could you name one, or what one is up there as your favorite convention? Do you have one?
Yeah, probably Force 2. So Force 2 was ran in 1997. It was a Star Wars convention run by Star Walking at the time. And of course, I was one of the organizers. Now, of course, Star Wars turned 20 in 1997. So it was a really, really big event for a lot of people who went there. It was actually, believe it or not, the inspiration for celebration conventions. And I've discussed that on another show because Steve Sansweet saw what we were doing and said, when Lucasfilm need to do something like this. And that's where celebration came from. And it was a huge convention. 500 people turned up. The banquet was fantastic, celebrating Star Wars turning 20. And it was like the perfect time to be a fan. We had all these interstate people come over, and it was a magical experience. And right behind that would be Force 3 in 1999, which I had an awesome time at because Phantom Menace had just come out. And all these new fans came on board. And it was just like, it was a perfect time to be a nerd at that point, if that makes sense. So
have you ever been to an international convention?
No. Yeah, so I've been to the Worldcon in America in 93, but only because I happened to be there at the time. So, yeah. Rusky Babies has mentioned Con 9, which is Con 9 from Outer Space. It was a convention that myself and a group of other people ran, but I'm looking specifically at Star Wars conventions. And in terms of sheer size, in terms of sheer size and atmosphere, yeah, Force 2 was right up there.
I was going to say, you've run some amazing conventions yourself, and the last I would call true fan conventions were Con 9 and Con 80 and all of that, and they went down amazingly well within fandom. And I think you would agree that to run a successful convention, it isn't down to one thing. It isn't down to guests. It isn't down to merchandise. It isn't down to the panels. It isn't down to the people there. It's a combination of everything, because people get different things out of conventions when they go to them. Some people just want to get the autographs, and some people just want to listen to panels. Some people just go to look at the merchandise, and some people just love everything, or catching up with people that they only see at conventions, because, you know, in real life it gets busy and you can have a weekend where you see people you haven't seen since the last convention.
So yeah, you're right, and it's all about the atmosphere and what worked for, say, Force 2 and Force 3, where they were the only Star Wars conventions in the world. That was it. There was nowhere else to go. Right? You came to Australia, to Melbourne, to go to a Star Wars con, and there was no celebration. Didn't exist at that point, so you couldn't say, "I'll wait for the next one over in England or Europe." Or it didn't exist. So when we ran one, and it was just the collective energy from all these fans at a time when Star Wars was at absolute zenith at its 20th anniversary. You could do no wrong, and it was the thing, you had to be there for it. So, but anyway, that was 25 years ago now, and the world has moved on. Was it Force 2 that had the fan film competition? No, it was Force 3, which was held in 1999. So there you go. The first fan film festival in the world was run by Star Wars.
And it was very successful as well.
Yes, it was, in fact. So there you go. Anyway.
Okay, so we're looking at Celebration, though, and we thought we'd look at Celebration because it is unlike probably any convention that has ever been run in Australia just on Star Wars. If you can imagine going to a Supernova or a Comic-Con in Australia, it's probably run at that size, but it is just a Star Wars Lucasfilm convention. So that is absolutely an amazing thing for Star Wars fans. You can get tickets, but usually they sell out and then they command a high price on the secondary market. I've known a couple of people who've gone. We've got Sully here who's been to a couple.
Well, in fact, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I've never made it to one.
No, Jeffro, who's one of our regular viewers here, he's actually over there, and he got to go for one day. It was his first ever big event. The key thing about Celebration, of course, it's actually Lucasfilm sponsored. They actually organise. It's not done by fans. It's actually done with Lucasfilm's approval. So there's obviously going to be a lot of cool shit that you don't see anywhere, and that's what we're covering off tonight. So the fact that it's an official event by Lucasfilm makes it way and above more groovier than say a fan run convention. So, and for that reason, the size of it is absolutely enormous. But and I think. We'll probably cover this off a bit later on. I would have to assume that in 2027, when Star Wars turns 50, there'll be a celebration there. And people have asked me which one is the best one to go to. And I would say if you're going to go to a celebration, that if you're going to go to one, that's the one that I would recommend 2027 when Star Wars turns 50. I reckon that'll be an absolute ball terror. So,
well,
Moneybags has said he's been to 4 of them. So, yes, good stuff.
And now everyone knows why he's called Moneybags. But this one was run in Anaheim, which I actually think would be a fantastic place to go, just because you can get to go to the convention, but then you can do Disneyland and all the other things that are around there as well.
Just across the road, and of course, with Galaxy's Edge now opening up, you can just go completely Star Wars crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things you get at conventions, and we get them here, but probably not to the same scale as you have them over there, is the cosplay. And here are some of the amazing cosplays that were around it this week. And you can see there that you've got, of course, a whole squadron of X-Wing pilots in sort of the screen accurate X-Wing gear. Of course, you've got a very accurate Mandalorian in the top middle there. And then you've got like a sexy Boba Fett or Mandalorian, which is kind of when you take the cosplay and you modify it to make it more personal, I guess. So you do see a big range of costumes. I pulled out the ones that I thought were particularly good. I love the Tusken Raider down the bottom there, and you've already got people cosplaying stuff that's very, very current. So you've got is it the 9th brother or the 5th brother?
No, the 5th. But don't forget, he appeared in Rebels, so they could have had this from years ago.
Yeah. True. And then you've got the little lizard frog lady from the Mandalorian as well, which I thought would probably be quite a unique one to go as. I was surprised to see that was already there.
Yeah, the funny thing about the whole costuming thing at Celebration is that you got to stand out from the crowd. So even if you have like the world's best stormtrooper, so you're fighting against 10,000 other dudes wearing exactly the same outfit. So you got to do something completely a bit left field. So the frog lady there from the Mandalorian episode 2, second season. I mean, that's actually very clever, and considering it wasn't a very popular character. But you do something left field, and that's how you stand out from the crowd. And that's been proven by the fact that it's ended up in your photograph. So,
exactly.
Yeah, yes. Where are the jar of eggs? That's a good point. Maybe Grogu's already chowed down on them as well. And yes, the 5th brother does look fantastic. You'd have to expect that. I mean, people clearly out of town on these things. And yes, and good on them too.
Now, these were probably my top picks. The Gamorrean Guard is fantastic. In fact, better than the ones that were in the Book of Boba Fett, in my opinion. And the other one, the other one I think is absolutely amazing and creative, where they've rounded up all the Jedi Force ghosts, and then the Mandalorians have got Ghostbusters backpacks, and they're rounding up the Force ghosts with their Ghostbusters backpacks while the Force ghosts are using Jedi energy to try and resist it. So I thought that was quite an imaginative photo. Obviously, they photoshopped effects in afterwards, but they were my top picks for the convention. What did you think of those two?
Yeah, I agree with you. The Gamorrean Guard. I mean, that's something you don't see very, very often. And ironically, a Gamorrean Guard worn by a fan, which looks better than what you see in a TV series. You've got to think, well, why don't they go to this dude and say, can we just like buy your suit and replicate it a couple of times? So, I totally agree with you. There was generally a group of girls, the Disney Princess Slave. Like, yeah, that's been around for a long time. The slave layers, there's like an army of them now. There used to be actually a website devoted to them, Layers Metal Bikini, which is now just gigantic, but very, very cool. Sky Guy, there's a new face in the crowd. Sky, I don't even know who that is, but love it. And in fact, if you love that, this is what I love. I love it when someone's ready to buck the trend and do something completely left field. And I thought, good on you, dude. A dude turns up in a Star Trek outfit. I thought, awesome.
There's always one. There's the Colin of the convention there, right there, isn't there? Goes to the Star Wars convention in a Star Trek uniform. But you know what? That's fantastic. And then there's the Minion there, but he's obviously got a bit of pink eye, hasn't he? So he stands out for being a really unusual one. And probably, for his 15 minutes of fame, he sweats away about 10 pounds over the weekend. There is an official costume parade at these conventions, and some of the ones down the bottom I found are more impressive. There's a little Ewok there. I don't know if that's a kid. It probably is. A Geonosian, which you don't really see cosplayed. I thought that was a good choice. And then you've got a power droid, a Gwonk droid there, and then a samurai version of either Darth Vader or a Sith, which could have been from Star Wars Visions. I guess they did a few different versions from that. So one of the things you see at these conventions, and you do see them locally in Melbourne, but you just see more in the one place over there, is some amazing cosplay.
So Moneybags has said there's always a few getting around in various Trek uniforms. Well, actually, ironically, back in 1993, when there was a Star Trek convention in Australia, a whole bunch of dudes from Star Walking turned up in Star Wars costumes, got to the costume parade, and actually won it. So there you go, back at you, Star Trek fans. So it's an awesome sort of thing. So hopefully it's all done in good fun and no one takes it seriously and they get a bit offended or whatever. It's a good laugh and good on it too for doing it. So,
I do remember at the Phantom Menace premiere, a bunch of Star Trek fans turned up in uniform with placards, which was "Make Trek, not war" and stuff like that.
Very, very good. Well, it's like the Big Bang Theory at the Force Awakens thing when Will Wheaton turns up in a Star Trek costume and everybody boos him. He says, "Oh, live long and suck it." I thought it was awesome. The Geonosian apparently won the costume competition, so yeah, good on him too. So well done.
The other thing you get at Celebration that you don't really get at any of the other conventions is where Lucasfilm drops a whole lot of their plans for the upcoming year. Now, I don't know if you were watching what unfolded over the weekend, but they had new official trailers dropped for different series. They had news and announced different new series. They had guests talking about the series, and of course, trailers for things we knew were coming up but that we hadn't seen before. Some of this is fantastic. Before the internet, you'd hear about stuff that happened in conventions and you would never actually see it. Star Walking not Star Walking, but the Star Wars page is really good on dropping everything sort of as it goes live over the weekend. The other side of that, though, they have convention-only trailers that you're not allowed to film and they don't put online, and it kind of gives the people who are attending a bit of, that extra, you've seen something that no one else has. Now, some of them have leaked a little bit online, but most of them I haven't even been able to find, and I've only seen the descriptions of like Mandalorian Series 3 trailer dropped and things like that.
Well, it's very funny you should mention that because at one of the celebrations when Rogue One was first announced, there was a trailer for that. And the only footage you could get was from some dude who had filmed it with a camera or his phone in the cinema at Celebration. It was just when you had the planet and you had the Death Star in the distance and the TIE fighter and you hear all the war chatter. And that was it. There was nothing else. And that was this is your introduction to Rogue One before the official trailers were released. So, yeah, you are right. They do that. And that I remember being a big deal because seeing that, I was like, oh my God, this is the first thing we've ever seen of Rogue One. And of course, we never saw it ever again. And I don't think there's even a professional, proper version of that trailer that ever got released. So that was a tease and a half. That was. Sorry? What?
I'll tell you something that you might remember. And it just proves why, like, going and seeing something as a group is much better than just clicking online and seeing a trailer. The first trailer for Mandalorian was not released online. It was shown at convention. And like you said, someone filmed it. And what is almost makes the trailer better is hearing the reaction of the crowd who's watching it. And they filmed where IG-88, it turned out to be IG-11, was seen walking and shooting for the first time, and the crowd just melted down. And you can imagine being there and seeing that is much better seeing that in a group in a convention than it is just clicking online and seeing it at 2 a.m. sometime, isn't it?
Yeah. But as Moneybags will, you're right. And as Moneybags will say, sometimes getting to some of those rooms to see that you have to queue up for hours and it's very, very difficult. So if you do get to get in, good on you. But yeah, while you're there, you savor it and enjoy it. But you are right, though. There was trailers for everything coming out. It was just madness.
Well, over the whole weekend, we're not going to play the trailers. You can find a lot of these on YouTube. We're just giving you a guide to what was there. There were panels and there were trailers and there was new images from a lot of series. So the Bad Batch for Series 2, which everyone knew was coming, was announced, and there was a trailer and they had a panel discussing it. And again, it looks absolutely fantastic. If you liked the first series, you're going to guarantee you're going to love what they're doing with this. Have you checked out a lot of stuff from the weekend, Dags, or have you dipped your toe in at all, or not really?
I tend to not watch the celebration stuff. It just isn't my thing. I'd rather, as you said, rather be there rather than seeing it after the fact. But I mean, all the trailers and that, it's great. It's wonderful. I get it. But they'll come out eventually anyway. I mean, So you're thinking, oh, if I didn't see the trailer for Bad Batch season 2, it doesn't matter. The series is coming out when it comes out, so we're going to get there in the end. So, and like you, as I said, watching it by myself is just not the same thing. Having said all that, I did see the teaser for Andor, which is a series I've been waiting for years for because I'm a huge fan of the Cassian Andor character from Rogue One, and that is the one series I've been saying for years. That's the one I'm really waiting to see what that's like, and the trailer for that did drop, and that looked really good. I don't like trailers generally because they tend to be formulaic, and they're designed to show you the best bits only, but Andor I thought was really, really, really impressive. So August 31. We'll be reviewing all the episodes here. I'll put a plug in now while I can, episode by episode, as we often do, like we're doing currently with the Kenobi series. But that's the one that I was particularly excited about. So, yeah.
Well, the one thing about Celebration, and you'd probably agree with this, when we were going to conventions, especially sort of in the 80s and 90s, it was specifically, even though it was probably open to everyone, it was a target audience was kind of, the guys we were. The Star Wars Celebration has such a diverse audience, and they're announcing shows for sort of every age group and every sort of niche in Star Wars. I was just impressed over the weekend. Stuff came, probably if you were following it, you'd know everything that was going to be announced, but stuff came out of the blue I didn't know about, from the Tales of the Jedi, where Liam Neeson is coming back. That was probably the announcement. This caught me by surprise, and I think this is fantastic, seeing Count Dooku when he's a good guy and Liam Neeson is his Padawan. And this is the kind of exciting thing that if you were there and seeing it would be absolutely fantastic.
See, what's interesting is like last year or the year before, I think it was last year, Lucasfilm said this is everything that's planned for the next few years, right? And they're chucking out stuff everywhere. You've got Ahsoka and you've got Ahsoka and Acolyte and this and that and that and this. But Tales of the Jedi wasn't there. It's like, oh, okay, so where have they chucked this in from? They've just plucked this out of nowhere and decided to slot it in. So there's still things coming out that weren't even announced last year, which I find really interesting. So Sky Guy has said it's a good time to be a Star Wars fan. It is. There's a lot of material coming out. And it's almost, dare I say it, at the point where if you see something you don't like it, just wait for the next series. That's to be out next couple of weeks, the way things are going. And Sue has mentioned that she's looking forward to Andor as well. So very, very cool. But yes, Tales of the Jedi is like, oh, okay. I mean, I heard about this only like yesterday, and I go, oh, all right. So they're talking about pre-Phantom Menace stuff. And I thought, oh, well done. I mean, yeah, that'll be really interesting to see what they do with that.
So that was one of the things that impressed me, because it was out of the blue, and it is something I go, I really like to see that. So it's out of the blue, but something that's already anticipated for me. The other thing I find really interesting, because I like movie making and behind the scenes, they're doing a series called Light and Magic, which is a new behind the scenes documentary series on the making of different aspects of the Star Wars movies and TV series. And I can never get enough of that kind of stuff. Do you watch that, or not up your alley?
No, probably not actually. There's so much behind the scenes stuff. It's probably hundreds of hours. I mean, all the DVDs that we've seen, you have to be very specific as to what it is you want to watch. And sometimes I find it a bit overwhelming. Now, but will Tales of the Jedi be based on the 90s books? I'm assuming not, because that's not canon. So they're probably reinventing all new material. So, and if I recall, Tales of the Jedi, when it came out, didn't feature things like Dooku or Ahsoka or anything like that. So, so it has the same name, but I would be surprised if they're following the books.
I think they said it was going to be an anthology series. So it's 6 episodes, either 3 episodes on one story, 3 episodes on another, or 2 and 2 and 2. I can't remember what it was, but sounded really good.
It's an interesting point, because the new shows that have been announced are in response to the Visions working really well. That's an interesting one, because Visions wasn't canon. That was just interpretations of various stories based on Japanese anime. And I thought, fair enough. And but yeah, in this case, it will be winner chicken dinner for us, or winner nerdy dinner for us, because a lot of and we discussed this. I think one of our previous shows, we're talking about Phantom Menace. You don't see a lot of stuff before the Phantom Menace. And now, aside from Acolyte, they're doing Tales of the Jedi, filling in, hopefully, backstories of characters that we know nothing about in canon. And that'd be awesome. So, good on them. So, be very curious to see what they do with it. And Sky Guys mentioned about loves of Clone Wars animation style. Well, they'll probably follow that formula. It seems to work very well.
Well, I was going to say the same thing. It's worked for them really well. It's almost become a house style for the Star Wars animation. So even though they're doing different eras and different stories, if they keep that style, there's already something familiar for audiences to jump in on. So I think that's very clever that they've done that.
Yeah. So Rusky Babes has mentioned he agrees with me that the BTS is a bit overkill, but by the same token, there's something for everybody. So if you like costumes, there's a thing on costumes, you like special effects, whatever, and the history of the show. Some good stuff, but yeah, there's just a lot of it. And I can't imagine sitting there going, all right, first disc in, BTS section number 1, and like, oh, your head's going nuts. Remember with Revenge of the Sith when they did the making of a minute, right? How they actually made 1 minute of film screen time, and the documentary went for over an hour, and it was absolutely fantastic.
I find it ironic that Russell's talking about behind the scenes stuff, yet he's the one that will type up interesting factoids every single episode.
Good point too, which I don't think we've received one tonight too, by the way. Rusky Babes, you're letting us down, old son. I like this one. Yeah, unlock this Jedi with the force of imagination. So yeah. Anyway, so good old Celebration. One thing about Celebration, every man needs woofer. Even the second stormtrooper to the left is welcome to turn up to this gig, and they certainly do.
They certainly do, and that is one of the things that I love when I go to a larger convention, is seeing the panels and seeing celebrities. Now, I like getting a photograph and an autograph, but I don't go for every single person that's there. There are some people that will go to every photo opportunity and get everything signed. At a Star Wars Celebration, gee, that's got to bankrupt you, hasn't it?
Yeah, actually, the problem now, and I thought about this recently. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, yada, yada, yada. But I sometimes look at the guest list and I go, who are these people? Because they're like, you've got voice actors and you've got background actors and this dude over here. And as I said, the second stormtrooper to the left. In the old days, it was easy to know who everybody was. Who's who in the zoo? Done. No problem at all. Now it's like there are so many of them from so many different shows and movies. You'd be going, holy shit.
Well,
you wouldn't even know who's who.
Feel sorry. Like you would remember if you could get someone that had worked behind the scenes to come to Australia, they would be a main guest. But now, when you've got Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor going to things, if you were someone who designed Stormtrooper armor in the 80s, no one's going to come and get your autograph when you're up against them, are they?
Yeah, and they do, and good on them for doing it too. They invite a lot of people. I mean, Don Bees, who is a huge fan, like a friend of mine, and who worked on the prequel trilogy. He was actually brought back because he played Boba Fett in the special edition of Jedi, and there was a bit of a Boba Fett thing going on over there. But yeah, there'd be a lot of people. You go, who are you? You know, unless you see a photograph of them. But of course, if you're a voice actor from an animated series, and there's a lot of them. You'd be scratching your head going, yeah, who are you? But, it's each their own, and good on them too. There's no shortage of choice.
One of the amazing things was I was watching something where the voice actress that did Ahsoka in the Clone Wars met Hayden Christensen for the first time and called him Sky Guy. And he had just watched all of the Clone Wars and Rebels to get ready for the Obi-Wan role. So
yeah, that was Ashley Eckstein. That's one voice I do know. So
yeah,
and then you are right. If you're going over there for the autographs, and of course you won't get them all because some people aren't there. Some people have passed away, as we well know. But it's a bit of a smorgasbord of people, depending who you're after.
So there you go. And I've sort of gone from the celebrities that are there in panels, and then yes, most of them you can get their autographs. There's an announcement there at the bottom that sadly Ewan McGregor's only signing on the Friday and the Saturday. So if you were trying to get his autograph, I'm sure there's limit to all of them. I'm sure a lot of the popular ones sell out. And as you were saying, you probably couldn't get all of them because they'd clash in times, or you'd have to have a huge budget to do it. But it would be one of those things, if you're an autograph collector, it would be an absolutely amazing event to go to. I mean, some of the ones in the past where sadly some people have passed away now, where there was Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, and that would be absolutely like that. That hadn't happened basically since 70s Comic Con, had it?
Yeah, exactly right. And of course, back then in the 70s, they were nobodies, like at the Worldcon and all the
Well,
rest. Mark Hamill turns up to the 76 Worldcon. He was just a dude. No one gave a
Well,
shit about him.
We did the
a year
show
later.
where they showed you at Comic Con, Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher were behind the stall selling posters to people.
Yeah. I mean, if only you could wind back time, eh? So there you go.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, as we said, like in terms of the act. I mean, it's a good thing because if you do like perform in a Star Wars show, movie, whatever, this is your one time to be sort of like idolized by the fans, and that's good. And this is actually Epstein up there, if you're wondering.
Yes.
That's Ahsoka, the voice of Ahsoka from the Clone Wars.
So this wasn't all the people who were there signing. I just gave a few examples. So you could get actors from each of the trilogies and the TV series. You could get behind the scenes people who either worked on costuming, special effects, and then the writers and the directors were there as well. So it really catered for anyone that you were interested in going and seeing it. Really, there really would have been a panel or someone there for you to talk to or listen to, and it would have been a great weekend.
That's actually a very good point, and I forgot to mention this earlier. Yeah, a lot of the behind the scenes people who work on the movies and TV shows, sometimes they can be just as popular, if not more so, than some of the actors. I mean, you look at your Ben Burts of the world and your John Williams, and not to mention good old George and various others. There would be some people that go, you know what, if they turned up, because ironically, behind the scenes people who work on the movies and TV shows, they've got some fantastic stories to tell because they can tell you all the intricacies of what's going on, and they can be huge fan favorites with a lot of people. So yeah,
I remember the stories. It might have been Dennis Mirren, or I can't remember, but they were talking about when Star Wars premiered and the kids came out and they were asking them for autographs, and they said, "Why are you asking for our autographs? We just like the special effects guys." And they're like, "No, we want your autograph because the special effects were so amazing." And that's when they knew Star Wars was going to be a massive hit, when there was that level of interest.
So Greg's brought up the pink shorts guy out of a convention. I don't know if we even would have been invited to a celebration, but I did read an article where he was surprised at how popular he was. Now, for those who don't know what we're talking about, there's a photograph from Tunisia when they're shooting, when the land speeder turns up outside the cantina, and because it was so hot that day, and because the crew were all English, right? This dude who was the sound guy, he was the boom operator, stripped down to just his pink shorts, and that's all he's wearing plus boots, right? Because he said he was so hot, and of course people saw pictures of that and started to, dare I say, he can't cosplay because it's just a pair of shorts, but he became famous for that. And the guy did say, because it happened decades after the movie, and he said, who would have thought he's seen people dressed up as him based on this one photograph? So yeah, that's fans just like thinking, oh, he's cool, let's go dressed as that, dressed / undressed as that. And that's who Greg was referring to. So
it's absolutely crazy.
Yes.
So
sorry, go.
I was just going to say, you can be someone who was leaned up against the wall in Jabba's palace, and if the fans find out who you are, there will be someone who wants your autograph because they want to get every single person who appeared on screen on in their collection.
Yeah, and we were talking about other people earlier behind the scenes. People completely forgot, of course, Frank Oz would be one, and Dave Filoni. They're the new big wigs now, and Jon Favreau, of course. So they've become the new in guys for all the new material, and which is particularly groovy. We have our own local BTS guy. That's we do, because a lot of Australians worked on Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith back in the early days, and good on them too. So yay team.
Well, Dags, I have to say you wouldn't have liked Jon Favreau. Do you know why? Through his entire panel, he referred to Grogu as Baby Yoda.
Oh, he's an idiot then.
Now, this would have been probably my pick of what I really would have loved to have seen. And they had a full John Williams concert conducted by John Williams of just about every single major theme you would wish to hear from the Star Wars and Lucasfilm songbook, really. So that would have been, I'm sure, impossible to get in. It was in a huge auditorium. But do you know what? Someone interrupted him in the middle of the concert. Do you know who interrupted him?
Yeah, Harrison Ford, obviously.
Harrison Ford. He's the only person I think who could get away with interrupting John Williams in the middle of a Indiana Jones overture. But this is the other thing about convention celebration that we tend to forget. It's not just Star Wars that they celebrate. And the first image there from Indiana Jones 5 was released, and they announced the release date, which is, I think, June next year. So we're a year away from a new indie movie.
So you're absolutely correct. So being a Lucasfilm thing, you can say, well, I find that all Star Wars, which is Lucasfilm, Indiana Jones, which is Lucasfilm, and they do a trailer for something else. It's not Tucker 2 or Red Tails 2 or Young Indiana Jones 2. It is Willow 2.
Well, interestingly, I knew that it was coming out, but it took me by surprise. And I've got to say, I really loved the trailer just because of the Willow music. Music can be so evocative. And because I saw Willow when I was a kid, it took me right back to seeing Willow, which really shocked me a bit. It was interesting to see there was a Willow panel and that was a massive and popular panel. If you are interested in Willow, you can see the trailer. We didn't have enough time tonight to show all the trailers that were shown there, but they are all on YouTube. There is a really amazing clip of Warwick Davies walking around introducing the cast, and he's being the character Warwick Davies from Life's Too Short. So he's basically insulting all the other cast and saying he's a star and all the others are no ones, which is in character and all done in jest, but it's really, really funny if you track it down. It's on the official Star Wars channel. Good to see. It's a mix of the old original cast and some new cast too. I wasn't sure how many of the original cast they would get back beyond Warwick Davies. But that looks like for me, Disney are kicking goals. You say it facetiously. You're not so interested in Willow?
No. No. I mean, it was good to see the Warwick Davies is back. No problem with that. But the rest of it, I don't really see a need for it. Christy, I think you'll find the music was done by James Horner, if I'm not mistaken. But don't quote me on that. I think that's what it is. You're all right, Mr. Bile. Howard the Duck too. Yeah, they could have done that. Very, very cool. So yes, but that would be pleasantly surprised. What the hell? And of course, Warwick Davis was renowned at Celebration for actually hosting a lot of the panels. So it's good to see that he finally gets to host a panel or be in a panel where he's talking about himself, which is particularly groovy. Yeah. Yes, it's actually stupid Daikini. Exactly right. Good stuff. But Willow was a fantastic movie made back in the 80s. And if they're doing a sequel, if it follows the story and it really works well, then yay team to them. But good stuff. Now, the key thing, I mean, other than all the trailers and all the announcements, what else can come out with good old Celebration? You got all your costumers over there and your artwork over there, and you got all your bloody props and shit over there, and of course all your trailers over here. There's one thing left, mate. You got to spend money on something, and it's got to be the effing merchandise.
merchandising. It's where the real money from the movie is made.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one thing about Celebration that a lot of people go for, and they actually make money off of it, is the merchandise. If you treat it like a day at work and you go around and get all the exclusives, get all the sets of stuff, and really you do a lot of queuing and a lot of raffles to get stuff and a lot of hunting, and you get everything, you can make a lot of money. For me, because I am running a collectible shop, when I go to conventions now, I don't want to be doing that anymore. I want to enjoy the convention. But some people, that is what they enjoy about conventions. Now, one of the things over there that hasn't really taken off at all locally, every convention has come out with a set of pins, and each convention, the collectible pin sets have got larger and larger, so it's harder to collect an entire set of these. This year there was, I don't know how many are there, to be honest, but it looks like there's about 30 or 40, doesn't it? And some people went down and hunted all of them, and I'm sure that was a lot of fun, and they got their collection. Now, this just shows you how crazy it is. This was on the weekend. Now, there's already sets of them, not that entire set of 30 or 40, but you can see there's a set, would it say 19 or 16 or something?
13.
1,000, how much is that? Sorry.
$1,500 in Australian dollars.
Yeah, so that would pay for your weekend, basically. So I guess if you spent one day going around and getting all of them and whack them online, you've got a free time at convention if someone buys them. And I can tell you from past experience, that stuff does sell really fast by people who can't get there. Have you ever seen the appeal of collecting pins?
No. I like patches. Embroidered patches I'm a bit of a fan of, but pins, the problem is, if you put them all in a jacket, you're just going to fall over from the weight. But even if you put them in like a display cabinet hanging on a wall, you go, that looks great, but then you sort of just move on to the next one. It's not like, I don't think it has a lasting appeal, but yeah. I think some of the value is in the fact that it's brand new and it's exclusive and there was a limited number. But I can't imagine 20 years from now, people are going to give a shit about it. And of course, in the next Celebration, they'll probably release something else. So, but each their own. If people like them and enjoy them, they do look pretty good. But no, they don't.
Pins are a lot bigger in America. I don't know if when you were in Disney, you went to, or you probably wouldn't have, but there was pin trade stations where the Disney staff actually all have lanyards with different pins in. And if you go up with a pin, they have to trade one with you if you ask them. So people spend some time at Disney, or some people go there trying to find the rare pins that some of the staff members have and trade it for something else. So it is one of those things in Disneyland, even where that subculture of collecting has started to appear.
It's very interesting. So long as it says Star Wars, someone will buy it. I'm just going to do a very quick aside. So in 1999, we brought out Michael Stackpole for a convention, Force 3, as I mentioned earlier on, and he had his own lanyard because we had the name badges around the neck, right? He had his own black lanyard, right? And that was a plain black lanyard. No one gave a shit about it. Now, you got to remember, this is just around the Phantom Menace time, okay? So you got to keep that in mind. But when he turned it over, it had episode 1 written all over it. It was like, holy, and I remember specifically, it's like, holy shit, that looks awesome, dude. That's fantastic. Where'd you get one of those? Turn it back to black. No one cares. Big deal. Turn it back over. Episode 1 written everywhere. Oh my God, oh my God. So yeah, you're completely right, Grant. If it says Star Wars, bang, it's got some money. And you're right, Mr. Phil. Yeah, Spaceballs was spot on. And of course, it's only gone further from that, as this picture testifies to. So yes.
Well, here's more of the exclusive merchandise that was available only for the weekend until it hits the scalpers on eBay, I guess. But you've got a backpack of that pink lizard there, and you can see that she is wearing on that the bubble pod thing with her eggs in. There's a lot of exclusive T-shirts and lanyards for the weekend. So Dags is right. A yellow lanyard, no one cares. Whack celebration on it, and everybody has to have one. What I did think was nice was some of the probably more high-end stuff. There was the Jedi journals, the books that Luke had in the sequel trilogy. There's a kyber crystal pendant there with a blue kyber crystal in that I think lights up. And then there's a stormtrooper item that's very cool as well. So there is something for everybody's budget, I guess. And then if you've got a bit of money, you want to try and get one of everything. Some people do it because they collect. Some people do it because they want to have that special reminder from the weekend, and those things are only available there. And some people do buy a couple of these to resell to pay for the weekend they've just had.
That's a very good point. And Moneybags Sullivan will probably have some good stories regarding that. For those who are trying to work out what the writing is on the spine, it says page turners, these are not.
Yes.
Do you think you can get the books? I would find that highly unlikely unless you're prepared to pay through the nose for them. What do you reckon, dude?
I would, if someone asked me to get them, I would say, what's your budget for them? And I would watch eBay daily until someone put up a buy it now that was half the price of everybody else, because it does happen. There are some people that are nicer and not as greedy and will put stuff up cheaper. And then I would get them in the shop. They would not be for the same price as they were over there. You're going to be paying a lot more just because of reshipping and people like making their markup on them. All of that stuff, if you really, really like it, wait a year, because at the moment it's at the peak that it will be. And then in a year's time, when everyone who absolutely must have it has got it, then you get it cheap. Here's a quick interesting story. They had pop finals for Infinity War at Supernova, and they were these special chrome ones. There was a Thanos, a Spider-Man, and an Iron Man, and they were chrome in color instead of the normal ones. They were $25 each, which is $5 more than a normal pop. They were going online that night for $150 each, or $450 a set, which is quite a big turnover. And I said, I got a Thanos. I couldn't be bothered queuing for all of them, so I got one. And I thought, well, if it's worth that now, I wonder how much it'll be worth later. I looked last week and one went for $9. So if you don't get caught up in the excitement of when it comes out and you're happy to have patience, you can get just about anything for a good price later.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and it's all about the excitement and the in the moment sort of scenario. And of course, people will sell this stuff quickly because they're cashing in on that, as we said. And of course, as I said, if you wait a few years, it'll all be very, like bargain bin stuff. But there's millions of stories like that, and there'll be millions of more stories to come. Moneybags has said about dirty scalpers. Well, it is, but it isn't, because it's still cashing in on a product. And in the end, if you don't want it, you just don't buy it. You don't pay for it, but people will pay for it. And that's just the nature of how the economy works. So maybe afterwards they'll look back and go, "Oh my God, why did I spend $1,200 on all these pins? What a freaking knob was, or $1,500 on these pins? How stupid am I?" But anyway, that's just how the business works. If you don't want it, don't buy it. Simple as that. So there you go.
So as I said earlier, originally this was going to be the news section of the show this week, and this is the stuff that was announced by Hasbro. It's again a bit small to read, but there's a big list of stuff there. So there's Black Series stuff, and there's Classic Series stuff, and Vintage Series stuff, and Retro Collection stuff, and then there's some other things and bits and pieces. So this is the part of the show where we're going to look at some of the, not the merchandise that was available there, but Hasbro and some other companies' announcements sort of for the rest of this year and stuff that's coming out. So there's a bit of interesting stuff. Feel free to let us know what you think about it when you see it.
Yes. So the big key word here is merchandising, and the merchandising. There's always room for one more effing Stormtrooper to add to your collection. And even if you think I've bought millions of them in my time, there's still another one yet to come out. And of course, this is the stuff that pains me and go, oh, God, seriously?
We've had Dark Troopers and Shadow Troopers and Death Troopers and this trooper and that trooper, but this is a very cool set, I think. These are from The Mandalorian, and these are the Dark Troopers that were seen in the final episode of Series 2. And what I think is very cool about this, they haven't just given you the trooper, they've given you, I don't know what they're called, the recharge alcove or the pod that they're in, as part of the set. So they're more of a deluxe figure that come with a large accessory. But being an army builder, go ahead, Dags.
Yeah, so if you look on the right-hand side over here, if you're a Star Trek fan, just give your Dark Trooper the How's Your Father and chuck a Borg in there and you're good to go.
I actually thought exactly the same thing. Paint the red bits green and you've got a Borg alcove. Yep. But the cool thing about this is you can join all the alcoves together. So if you're an army builder, you can have armies of Shadow Dark Troopers waiting to be activated and go after the Jedi Knights, which I think is a pretty cool concept. Anything like that where you can get a play set that sort of builds with the figure is always good in my books.
So yeah, the people who manufacture these things go, this is awesome. Instead of Fred buying one of the damn things, he's got to go out and buy five of them. Oh, bloody hell. Well, hang on, sorry, I agree with this guy. Always room for one more. I totally agree with you on that one.
Well, that's the thing about Stormtroopers, though. You can mock the concept, but people, if you go to a shop, the first ones that are always gone are the Stormtroopers, because people will buy one of each of them, the main characters. But if you're getting the troops, you can always do 5 or 6 if you've got the money, because it looks cool to have so many of them.
Yeah, and the fact they all look the same, it's a classic. And I've worked in your store, and people have come along and said, I need a few more for my diorama and this and that and that. And this is like, in the old days, just like, one's enough. But no, not anymore. So unbelievable. With this one, though, that's coming up, you only do need one. And, of course, this good old Obi-Wan is back again because he's in a new series, for crying out loud. And there you go.
Well, this is really good because it is from the vintage collection, so it is just one of the 3 1/4 inch figures. But I actually think the detail in this is quite good. You know, some of the original figures look vaguely like their characters, but this one has got cloth clothes. It's got like the Lola droid, and then it's got lightsaber, removable robes. So I actually think this is quite a good one. You can see there it's fully articulated, lots of points of articulation, has a blaster. Who would have ever thought an Obi-Wan figure would come with a blaster, Dag?
So uncivilized. Yep, exactly right.
So this is another one that's in the vintage collection series, and another one that I think is a really cool figure.
So the good thing is when they're producing brand new shows, I mean, it's funny, you know, Kenobi came out like last Friday, if I think, right? The collectibles came out on Saturday, right? And bang, it's like, no marking around. Do you reckon someone in Lucasfilm was thinking, no, we're going to wait a couple of months before we market this? Stuff that. Get those effing figures out there straight away.
It's like the Joker in Batman when he's like, ship it all out a new door, you know, sort of. They get it into the market really quick, don't they?
Yeah.
Here's another one. This one is the R2 unit. I can't remember its name actually, but it was one of the ones from Rogue Squadron. So what I was really impressed by the stuff they announced. If you were a fan of any era of the show or any of the movies, there was pretty much something for you. You couldn't say that you weren't catered for. Maybe if you were expecting the Mod Squad, they didn't announce that yet, but there you go.
That's a good one, actually. Did anybody go cosplaying or costuming as the Vespa gang, the Mod Squad? Maybe they're afraid of getting tomatoes and things thrown at them if they went to celebration like that.
I didn't
Oh,
actually. I didn't see them. They'd be more scared of the Nikto gang coming and getting them, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly right. That is a good one, actually. You go, you know what? Forget thinking wearing a Star Trek costume to a Star Wars event is like the greatest challenge of all time. No, no, no. Get dressed as the Mod Squad. Go dressed as, you know, a couple of the dudes. You know, the background characters. You got Drash and you got Scad and you got the other two in the back who don't say a single word. Dress yourself up. Put your mods on and go. All right, I can't say a word because as extras they didn't say a word. Right? It's like, is anybody gonna know who I am?
And then
Just a well-dressed dude.
And then you tell everyone you were coming because you thought it was Life Day.
Love it. Absolutely fantastic. So yes, very, very cool.
So talking about army builders, we're not just having the stormtroopers and the death troopers and the shadow troopers, but we're getting the Hoth troopers as well. And I thought this was really good because, again, they've upped the articulation. They come as a set of 4. There's 4 different ones. The accessories and clothing can be modified and changed around, so you can obviously customize them to however you look. If you've got a Hoth base or a Hoth diorama, you've probably had the ability to stack it out with snow troopers for quite a while, but getting a variety of Hoth troopers has been quite hard. So when they do sets like this, they might not be the sets that every kid wants, but a lot of people who build dioramas absolutely love it when they do this, because usually buying them in bulk, you might get 4 for the price of 3 if you bought them individually. So that's a pretty cool concept as well.
Yeah, as a supporter for the Imperial Empire, all of them should be laying on the ground, carved and dead.
Well, they're the stomping crew, aren't they?
Yeah.
They all get. They're the Imperial stamp collection where they all get stamped.
Love it.
This is another cool figure, and again from a couple of different eras of the show now, because this was K2SO in
Rogue One.
In Rogue. Sorry,
Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One. But they also introduced those droids more in the last series of The Mandalorian, where you saw the Siege of Mandalore.
So, for those who don't know, even though K2SO is the main character from Rogue One, the actual droids are KX security droids. So, I thought I'd just chuck that in.
Yes, and I think we looked at the hot toy they're going to release of this a week or two ago, and I said the same thing. He was a sympathetic character because you had him as sort of a good guy, but when you saw them in The Mandalorian, you realize these are the Terminators of the Empire that just have the glowing eyes and relentlessly walk through towns and just exterminate everyone. So another cool item, I think.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. And K2SO was a very popular character. So even if you just go, it's a KX security droid, but just like tone him down a bit and he's good to go. This one I thought was surprising because I thought you don't see a lot of stuff in the prequel trilogy, but the Magna Guards have made an appearance. I thought, oh, there you go.
Yeah, this was, I was saying, I was really impressed by the diversity of stuff that was released and announced at this convention, because it is one that I didn't expect, and there it is, and it's a cool character. I did notice a few of the ones in this wave have the Force pikes or the Force sticks with the electronic lightning at each end. You even had it on the droid in the last figure, and we'll see it's coming with a trooper in the next one.
I think it's called...
Sorry?
I was sorry I cut you off. I think it's called an Electro Staff, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. So there's a few of them that have that same accessory, and I don't know if that's going to be because it plays into something down the track, which sometimes they hint to in toys, or it was just a coincidence that they use this accessory on a few different figures.
It's very funny, actually, because battle droids have popped up in various other series as the time has gone on, but Magna Guards only just appeared in Revenge of the Sith, and that was it. So now, this one I looked at, and I'm going to show you a second. I thought, what is this? It's like it's combining effectively two characters together, and I thought, what's the deal? Why would a biker scout have a friggin' riot shield? What's the deal with that?
That's because it's a scout trooper from a video game, and it is a very
okay.
Yeah, and it is a very cool riot shield because it has one of those innovations. You're like, yeah, that'd make a lot of sense. In the top of the shield, it has something so you can protect your face, but also look through it as well. So there's like a window in the top of the shield, which is pretty cool. This has another one of the staffs that has the electro effect on the end. The Vile asked me why was I surprised. I was just surprised for the same reason as Dags was saying, because it just appeared in that one movie and hasn't really appeared in much else at all. So they've released a figure for it, and it's not one that everyone looks for. So it was more of a case of just coming out of the blue for me. It wasn't like a lot of these other figures are like, yeah, everyone is going to grab these, but I don't see everyone wanting that one in particular.
Yeah. So you were saying about the biker scout carrying the shield from a game, and I thought it's an unusual combination, one you don't normally match up with it.
No.
Yes, Sky has already said a fine addition to your collection. Well, don't think you're going to finish just yet, because there's more stuff to come. And if you like a bit of color in your life, you can't go past these. Oh, very exciting.
So they release one of these every year, I think, and they've done Vader and they've done Stormtroopers and they've done Boba Fett. This year they've done Luke X-Wing, and this is even better than previous years. I'm pretty sure in previous years they released 4 variants. This year they're releasing 6. So you've got to track down 6 different color variants of. They call them prototypes, but I don't think they're prototypes because they're deliberately made to look like that. So they're colored like a prototype would be colored, but they're just the production run. Some people absolutely love these. I got these for the shop because I thought I'd better grab a couple, and they sold out instantly. I don't really see the point of them. They kind of, I don't know, like, I can't really knock them because they sell really well, but it is one of those things that seems like a cash in on people who like prototype stuff.
I just put it down to they just look naff. I'll leave it at that. Now, when I saw this, right, and I looked at this picture, and I thought I had to get the magnifying glass of truth to say, who the hell's the other dude, right? Because I looked at this guy, and I swear that looks like Terrence Stamp. And I thought, why would Chancellor Valorum be holding a lightsaber? And apparently that's meant to be Obi-Wan. I go, all right, I've clearly missed something here, so you can help fill in what's going on.
Well, these are from the original concept art done by Ralph McQuarrie. So this is the concept art version of Obi-Wan and Vader, some of the very, very early images. That's why Vader has just a white lightsaber and so does Obi-Wan, because they hadn't worked out that they were going to be different colors. I think this is quite a cool set. The Vader helmet on this always reminds me of a vampire because the front of his helmet is a lot more drawn out and longer, with the chin coming down to spikes. And then you've got Obi-Wan, who looks, I guess, a lot more feudal Japanese to me in the way that he looks, almost like a wandering samurai, which would have gone back to the Kurosawa influence. So these are pretty cool figures. They've done production art and concept art figures before, and they've always been incredibly popular and always sell really well. So I'm not surprised that these are coming out. I think it's quite a cool set.
Just going right back to the what do you call it, the Luke and the X-Wing with all the multi-colors. I like this one. Christy said it looks like the machine threw up. Yeah, it does look like that. It's a Technicolor yawn that's ended up over an X-Wing pilot. Yeah, exactly right. Yes, it's a General Zod and the Superman crossover. Yes, exactly right. And those are great looking figures. So yes, very good stuff. Kind of funny because one of the things that I did see when I was in Disneyland a few years ago was they'd produced so the original action figures from Star Wars and New Hope, whatever they call 5.5 inch or whatever figures, but they produced them in full size. And it's like, it's like, a freaking 7 foot tall Darth Vader that looks like the action figure toy. And you go, who the hell would want one of those? But clearly someone does. There you go. And even Phil said, yeah, they're not bad. Speaking of things that aren't bad, and to be fair, they do produce some collectibles that actually are, you're thinking, yeah, that's pretty good. Some of the statues and some of those things look really spectacular, as we've seen. So instead of just the cheap toys that we've seen earlier, we've got some really neat stuff. And one of them is this one, good old ALS Sakura.
Yep. So we're getting into the Black series now, and she is a fantastic figure. You can see with the articulation they've got into this stuff now and the detail for the scale, you really can pose her however you would like, and it actually looks really cool. So Alea Sakura is always one of those popular characters. She never really had much to do in the movies apart from sort of look cool and die, basically.
Yeah.
But always sells out. Always
so
sells
if you're a
out.
bit of a bastard, get a hot poker and just poke a shitload of holes in her and go, yep, there she is. She's cocked it. This is after all the clone troopers blasted into the bejesus. So yes, it didn't end well in her case. So yes.
What planet did she bite it on? Was it Floriana or something?
I think it's Felucia. I always get Felucia and the other one mixed up, and I can't even think of the other one. I was trying to think of it today. So Moneybag Sullivan's watching this. He'll tell me straight away.
You'll know.
Yeah, I always got him asked about. I could never work out which was which. So yeah.
So here's another one that's very cool. This is the Darth Maul, but he's got his robot legs from, I guess, the scene in Solo and the animated version of him. This is why I think that the Inquisitor is probably still alive, because if Darth Maul can get chopped in half and come back, what's a saber through the guts between friends? Hey, Dags.
No, he had his legs cut off. So yes, indeedy doody didy. But yes, exactly right. No one ever stays dead in Star Wars, especially when you cut a guy in half. But he will come back because it was only a flesh wound. But yes, there's always room for one more extra wall. But yeah, swing, it's Maul, the Maul with it all. So, and he's always guaranteed to sell a few extra things. And of course, he's been around since in Rebels as well. And so he's made a few appearances in Clone Wars. So he's not just the Phantom Menace wannabe. He's got a bit of
Really,
traction going with him.
Really, his life in the prequels was tiny compared to the rest of his career in absolutely everything else.
Which is kind of funny because so for people who it was for Lucia, thank you very much because I could not think of the other damn planet. So yay for the nerd. What can I say? So the funny thing is people have never watched the animated series of anything, which is understandable. Not everybody did, but Darth Maul, or Maul as he was called then in Clone Wars and Rebels, his characterization was fantastic. And it was a shame they couldn't translate that into Phantom Menace when he first appeared. But yes, if you want to see more of his history on screen, that's the series. Those two series you have to watch. It was just magnificent characterization. Yeah.
Yep. And then we've got the fifth brother here. So again, I don't know if this is the version. Well, it's probably the version from Obi-Wan, isn't it? Because it doesn't look like the animated series.
It doesn't. No. So once again, they're preparing merchandise for the TV series that just came out like 4 days ago. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, they've learnt their lesson from selling the early bird kit and not getting stuff out to a year after the movie was dropped, like they did with Star Wars, where they're showing the episode and the very same day they're showing the toys that are coming out. Again, all of the Black Series stuff has hit a high with the likenesses and the articulation and just the coolness of the figures. If you were Obi-Wan Kenobi fan and you wanted some action figures, you're not going to be disappointed with that.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because this is obviously based, as you said, on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. You do wonder if they'll ever do, if they have done or will do a Rebels version, because the fifth brother in Rebels looks totally more alien than this guy. But, you know, of the two, you probably think, well, this one's likely to sell more because Kenobi's such a popular show. So, fair enough. All good.
And here again is the Black Series version of that Scout Trooper with the rite shield. So he got a double dip this time round. So you've got the one in the vintage collection and you've also got the one in the Black Series. Again, it comes with full articulation, the same accessories and the white rite shield with the little window.
Yeah, exactly right. So I don't get it myself. Even if it is from a game, to me, it just looks plain stupid. He's supposed to be riding speeder bikes, not holding rite shields, but whatever. Oh, it's the Grand Inky, as we like to call him.
And so this is another one that they've obviously rushed through because you can see it's the Obi-Wan version and not the sort of elongated Clone Wars version. So or Rebels
version, dude.
Yep. Yeah. So again, a really cool figure. And what's great about this is you hate it when they release one of them and then you have to wait forever to get the whole gang. They're just about dropping the whole gang in one go here. So if you're a fan of Obi-Wan, you can go and get all the Inquisitors in one hit.
Except for the third sister, which is Reva. I haven't seen one of hers unless it's been released.
That's really unusual, isn't it? Because you would think, because they're releasing the other sister, you would think that Reva would be the one that they would release. This is the
fourth
surprise.
Sister.
Yeah.
Oh, fourth or fifth?
I think it's the fifth.
I thought it was the fourth. Can someone look it up for us and tell us if this is the fourth or the fifth sister? I've forgotten.
Yeah. There's so many sisters, we just can't remember. You can't keep your.
But anyway, the point being, so why would they release her? She's only appeared so far anyway in like one scene. But yeah, the third sister Reva hasn't come out yet for whatever reason. So that's an interesting one.
It is. I thought the same thing. Maybe she will come out in a double pack with Vader or Obi-Wan or something like that.
Yeah, but you'd think that they would produce Reva at least as a standalone. Just winding back. Moneybags has said he prefers the Rebel versions of the fifth brother. I do too, because it's far more alien. But a lot of people wouldn't have seen Rebel, so maybe the Obi-Wan version would sell more because it's obviously a live-action series. And the same thing with the Grand Inquisitor, the Grand Inky. So the Rebels version of him is far more alien because he's based on a character from Utapau. But of course, the one in the Obi-Wan series is obviously a human being just with all the makeup put on. So maybe they've done the numbers and said, well, this one is more likely to sell more, even if the Rebels version looked better. So lesser of two evils, I suppose. So, yes. And can someone find out someone look at Wikipedia or whatever? Is this the fourth or the fifth sister? I'm saying the fourth, Rebels. Aaron's saying the fifth, and we'll see who was correct on that one. But yeah, surprisingly, she's coming out. The fourth, thank you very much. Winner, nerdy dinner. Yay, team.
You get a scar.
Never try and out-nerd the nerd, as they say. All right, so moving on to a previous series. So we're all getting very, very cool. And good old Grief Karga is making an appearance.
And again, if you remember when the Black series first came along, they basically looked like scaled up versions of the regular figures. Now they are looking more like scaled down of 12-inch figures. They've got that much detail. The clothing looks so realistic. The poses that you can put them in are so lifelike, and the actual likenesses of the characters are so good. I think they are one of the best action figure lines available at the moment.
I love it. Greg King's asked, what's in a nerdy dinner? I'll have to think of a really good answer for that one. But yes, I'm not going to say it goes down really, really well. If you're not a fan of Grief Karga, just strip him down, put some like boxer shorts on him and all the rest of it, and repaint him, and you got yourself Apollo Creed from Rocky. So there you go. Good stuff. How about that? I don't think of Grief is going to be much of a big seller myself. He's just a dude, really, in the grand scheme of things. So,
yeah.
Now this one came up, and I go, where the hell? Now there's so much stuff my brain can't handle it all, and I go, where the friggin' hell is this in the grand scheme of things? It's a artillery dude from the
stormtrooper or something. I am not sure what that's from. I've got to say, it does look like a cool figure, though, doesn't it?
Well, it's just a friggin' plain helmet with a bit of yellow paint on it. So, like, that's just copping out big time. So, artillery stormtrooper. Like, tell me, Moneybag Sullivan, he knows where all this crap is. Where the hell are these guys in the Star Wars universe? Unless it's from a game.
Well, in the Clone Wars, the yellow ones were the dropship troopers, weren't they? So this is definitely from a different kind of era from that. If they're a heavy artillery or artillery trooper,
I think the Mandalorian.
I don't remember it in the Mandalorian.
There was no artillery in the Mandalorian, was there? Oh, okay, all right.
There you go. I'll have to watch it again and look out for him then. But I just think it's one of those things where most of the stormtroopers are white, so you get a yellow one. Usually if you pick them up, when they do a variant like that, they make it once and then it's like 10-20 years before they revisit it and do it again because it's a specific one. If you look, it's got the stunt eyes, which are tinted green rather than the black ones, which is interesting. I think that's a pretty cool helmet.
You know what? Just get it and paint it white. A dipship trooper. Yeah, I like the sound of that. I mean, I just don't see the point of it. And people are going to be, you get that, you wear it, people go, why you got a yellow stripe on your helmet, dude? And you go, oh, don't ask. Now, we were talking about like getting in really early, right? So clearly when they were producing Kenobi, they said, all right, some shit is going to sell really quickly, right? Action figures, yada, yada. It's all very, very cool. Be thinking, okay, what props and stuff can we make that are going to be like the absolute ripper? Now, of course, this follows on from what we've discussed in previous episodes about things that will are marketable to a certain age group. So you had Porgs from the sequel trilogy. You had Grogu, right? And you go, what's next? What can you have that young people, especially kids, are going to go, oh, I've got to have one of those. And, of course, it's bloody Lola. There you go. I reckon they put this droid in deliberately in the show so they can merchandise it. But I'll tell you what, they didn't muck around getting this out, did they?
They didn't. And when you see over the next couple of slides how much of it is coming out, I was absolutely shocked for something that might just be a one-off in this series and you never see again. I was really surprised that they've already got this one coming out and ready to go, and different ages and different price points. Now, these ones are smaller ones. They're pretty much not articulated. They're just going to be the low-end ones that you can get. One has the legs and one has a clear stand, so it looks like she or it is flying. Do you think these will take off, Dags?
As in, like, literally take off? I don't know. I'm only staring at I don't know. It's very limited. But we don't know if Lola's going to reappear in future episodes. And at some point, Lola almost saved the day when Leia's trying to get Lola to cut the rope so she could escape. So it's intentionally done. I get it. And like, it's almost like the Ewoks as well from back in the day. I don't know, maybe. So, but it's clearly aimed at a certain market, and I think some people will go for it. Yeah.
So this is a different toy again. This one is a mid-price point toy. So it lights up, it's articulated, it has legs, and the wings on the back come up. I kind of look at it and think they've based it on a ladybug. The design, they take a lot from nature, and seeing the wings on the back, I didn't notice it in the show, but when I was looking at this, I was thinking that's what they've taken it from. It also kind of looks like a pick droid, just the head. if the head was floating. So this is a mid-range one that lights up, has legs, can I think it makes sounds, and so it's a mid-range toy, and you can see the age group it's sort of aimed at because of the person or the actor. Now,
well, the good thing is, if you get a Lola and it's giving you the shits from all the beeping and the squeaking, just smash it to pieces. You go, I'm just reenacting what happened in the show.
Yeah. Lola, this generation's Furby. Now, this is the Schmick one. This is the animatronic, fully light and sound, can does all the thing, do all the different things, projects, is voice activated, and everything you could want from your very own droid. And obviously this one is the premium one. They did the same thing with BB-8, where you could get sort of the toy version, the remote control version, and then the full-size, super realistic version. And they've done the same with this. Now, I do think, cynically, these will be out and they'll sell and then they'll disappear, because I think they'll only got a very short shelf life for this, and they know it's for the Obi-Wan series, and once that's kind of over, they won't produce much more of this product. It's like Dio.
You get you're right. You get the Lola, you give it to your little kid, and the kid's pushing the button. You go, what's wrong with the kid? It's like, where's the saw? I want the saw to come out so I can go and cutting the shit out of everything.
Yeah.
One of the ultimate gags, of course, that came out of Obi-Wan Kenobi was the dorkiest lightsabers in the entire universe used by the Inquisitors. And, of course, they finally got around to producing one. And as we discussed in our review on Monday, these were originally designed, or the conception came from the General Grievous lightsabers for Attack of the Clones 20 years ago. Revenge of the Sith, almost 20 years ago. So what do you reckon of these, Mr. Aaron? The stupidest design in the entire universe, or what?
Well, now kids can get one and pretend they can fly around like helicopters, can't they? But apart from that, it is a pretty average design. It works in the series, I guess. When he turned Flea into mincemeat, that's probably the hero.
Yeah, just cut the dude and be done with it, not sit there with this spinning blade friggin' thing.
Well, he wanted to Jack Nicholas him, didn't he? But you've got this lightsaber, and a lot of people collect every different version of lightsabers. If you have one that's double-ended, it costs twice as much. So it's through HasLabs. It's an expensive prop replica, not one that you would take out and do much fighting with. The blades are removable. They're light up. It'll obviously have all the special effects and crash sounds. Don't know how durable it would be to be in a duel with your nerdy friends, but if you're paying that much for it, you probably wouldn't want to bash it up with a fight, would you?
Yeah, and I like the fact that they've done this where you can do the halfway thing, because I think in the animated series they did that. They could hold it as a halfway and then it would fold out to the big round version. So the fact that they've added that in is pretty groovy as well. So look, it's cool, but not cool at the same time. Now, we're nearly at the end. It's 10 o'clock, so sit with us, guys. We're almost at the end of it all. Now, of course, if you're going to do a brand new series of stuff, the last thing you need, of course, and we're talking about board games earlier on, funnily enough, and of course, with Star Wars, once upon a time, it was like Highlander. There was only one, and now this shit loads, and we've got one more to add to the mix. It is a Monopoly game.
Yeah. They have made so many themed Star Wars Monopolies, I have lost count. When the first one came out, it was actually the Episode 1 one. It was the coolest thing ever. It was one of the coolest things about Episode 1, actually. But with every Monopoly release, it makes it less unique and kind of, I don't know, you could probably collect Star Wars Monopolies and have a whole wardrobe full of them. I don't know if another Star Wars Monopoly is warranted, but it's obviously ticked round to that time where they need one on the shelves again.
Did you say the Phantom Menace one was the first Monopoly set released?
No, the first Star Wars one.
No, that's incorrect. They actually produced one a few years earlier because, believe it or not, on my 30th birthday, I was given a Star Wars Monopoly. And I think that may have been the first iteration at that time. And that was in 1997. So there was definitely one before that.
So very cool. But so they've released one for just about every movie. So you can get all different Star Wars Monopolies now. This is a cooler one because they have taken a bit more time to do unique pieces and things like that. Some of the Star Wars Monopolies are really cheap where they just use generic pieces. This one at least is not one of the worst versions they've released.
No, exactly right. And the funny thing about Monopoly games, I don't know why they've done this, but all four corners are always the same. You got the go, the jail, free parking, and the whatever the others in the corner. So, yes. So there you go, which is particularly groovy. Now, you got this image here, which I think was kind of groovy. What's the deal with this, old son?
Well, we've got through all the merchandise releases, and there's only one thing left at conventions, and that's the after-hour parties and stuff. And this one was a particularly cool one that they did for Celebration. It was the Galactic Disco at the Anaheim House of Blues, which would have probably been quite hard to get into, but I tell you what, that would have been pretty cool night to finish off the convention experience.
Yeah, the problem I found is when I saw this, oh, there's a galactic disco, and the first thing I thought of is like, oh, they're doing Star Trek Discovery, are they?
I just thought they'd have what's his name, Meko, on the turntable playing all those
yeah,
disco versions of Star Wars themes.
absolutely love it. So, what do you reckon, old son? So there you go. That's you need to talk for a second, old son, while I push a couple of buttons. So,
No problem.
yeah, Celebration, yay team for that.
Yeah, thanks for spending the evening with us. I hope that even though we weren't there, you felt like you got a little bit of celebration. You've seen what went down. You've seen some of the announcements. You've seen what merchandise was available. And now you don't have to go yourself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly right. You saved a shitload of money by not going. Very good. You are right. Yes, go directly to the Spice Mines of Kessel. Do not collect 50 credits, which is particularly groovy stuff. Absolutely love it. Yeah, the first one had, hang on. Sorry, I missed the thing. The first one had galactic credits. Yeah, exactly right. And it actually was really cool. Actually, it was a really, really nice set. And then they produced a follow on very, very quickly. Love the stream. Oh, well, there you go. We may not be finished just yet. So just sit tight, kitty. So there you go. Well done. Anyway, so we're going to Mickey Whoop. It's time for us to buzz off. As we said, we just saved you a couple of $1,000 by not having to go to Celebration. And if you are interested, don't forget to join us next Monday when we will discuss the third episode of Kenobi, which came out tonight. Oh, how exciting is that? So very, very cool. Anything you want to say before we show off for this evening, Mr. Aaron?
No, nothing at all. Thanks for having the patience for sitting for lots of 2 hours this week.
Well, there you go. You can never get enough of the nerds. What can I say? Okay. All right, guys. Enjoy yourselves. Party hard, rock on. And remember, make sure you keep all of your Star Wars collectibles, if you can be bothered buying them to do the damn things, mint in box.
And once you buy them off the scalpers, rip them off the card.
I love the sound of that. Okay. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Good night. Now, here's a little bonus for those of you who want the real convention experience. This is almost like a cult-like thing that has begun to happen at Star Wars conventions, and it is the running of the hoods. And can you explain who Wilro Hood is, Dags?
Yeah, so I've got a picture of that we'll probably show at the end if we've got time. So Wilro Hood is an extra in The Empire Strikes Back. Some random guy who's running through Cloud City, and he's carrying what was, back in 1979, an ice cream making machine. And for some reason, some fans somewhere have just like grabbed onto this guy because I think they gave him a name, Wilro Hood, in the CCG games. And now all these fans get dressed up as this guy and reenact the running of Wilro Hood. And it's just one of those little gags. And the funny thing is, nobody knows who the actor was, actor being in a relative term, because he was just an extra. And yeah, they do this at Celebration. I mean, how grouse is this? So at the end of this, we'll show you the picture of what Wilro Hood really looks like. And through the show, we'll talk about the sound guy earlier, and there's a couple of people dressed as that. So how bizarre is this, eh?
Well, I think the bizarrest thing, you've got the sound guys there in their pink shorts, and they're wearing sound booms that are actually ice cream cones on the end of them. So this is probably one of the most bizarrest things that goes down at Celebration. And it started with a couple of guys, and now you can see there is a whole legion of people that want to be in the running of the hoods. And they run through all the convention halls, all the merchandising halls. As you see, they go up and down the elevators. One year, it wasn't in this one, there was actually a guy dressed as an ice cream maker holding a little tiny Wilro Hood and doing the running of the ice cream maker. So I've never seen one of these in person. I'd almost considered doing it because it'd be a lot of fun. You can look at how many people are there at the convention as they go through the halls as well. So one of those weird things that has become a tradition and only like Star Wars fans would get.
Well, the good thing about it is you just need a pair of orange overalls, and that's it. And of course, the funny thing is the ice cream making machine, of course, has now appeared in canon as a Camtono, and you've seen it in The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. So it's actually a device designed to carry things. And Wilro Hood, the character, As I said, he was just an extra on Cloud City, just running through when the city was being evacuated. They've now said, oh, he was a rebel sympathizer, and he was a spy carrying all the stuff and the ice cream making machine, and he's become a bit of a cult figure. And I like the fact that with these guys, you just got to turn up with your ice cream making machine in your orange overalls and just go for it. So it's absolutely spectacular, and it's just a whole lot of fun. And to this day, nobody knows who played Wilro Hood. They just cannot find the actor at all, which is the most bizarre thing. What do you reckon, dude?
Yeah, the crazy thing is we've taken the sound off and we're just talking over it. But as they run through, they're just all chanting ice cream, ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. And the other thing, which is of course one of those bizarre things that happens, now that original 80s ice cream maker goes for a fortune on eBay because everybody wants one when they turn up so they can use it for their cosplay. So there we go. There's the original Wilro Hood.
Yeah, and he's just an extra. He's just running through Cloud City, and and back in 1980, no one gave a rat's ass about him. It wasn't until the 90s, as I said, when I think the CCG games gave him a name, Wilro Hood. I don't even know where that's even come from, and now he's a cult figure amongst the nerds. And yes, that thing there is just an undisguised ice cream making machine from 1979. How good is that, Mr. Aaron?
Well, he even got an action figure made of him. So there you go. So that's our little bonus for tonight for sitting through the end credits. Hope you enjoyed that extra piece of trivia. Good night, guys.
Totally agree. Bye.